square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Sportstime, March 3rd, 2023 edition. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you as we're going to wrap up the week over the next 3 hours. And we got a ton to talk about with the Grizzlies back in action tonight. Tigers taking care of business last night. We've got college basketball tournaments all over the place. It's been a fun week, and it's going to be a great weekend. But Brett Norsworthy in person today in the Family Leisure Studios. Brett, how you doing?
Doing great, Brian. Great to be with y'all. Jay Morgan, how are you? And last night was fun. Tigers did take care of business, and almost in unison when we all saw each other for the first time. Tigers won by 19. Didn't play great.
Whew, they did not. I mean, that was a very sloppy game. And,
get that out of you.
Whew, yeah, get it out of you before Houston. I think there are some things you would want to take against Houston, like the shooting over 50% from the field and from three. I would take that any day against Houston. But, oh, man, what was it, 18 turnovers as a team? Leave that in Dallas.
Yeah, it was a little bit of wild play, Jay Morgan. I thought it got a little unstructured for a stretch or two there, but in the end, by 19 on the road, this year in the two games against SMU score 99 and 81, we really going to complain?
And weathered the storm quite literally.
Literally. Almost had a rain out. Almost called for the tarp to come out.
It's very rare, but I always love it when there's a possibility of a rain delay in an indoor sport. It's one of my favorite traditions.
A main water main burst one time when the Spurs used to play at the Alamo Dome. You ought to go to YouTube and see the Niagara Falls of water shooting out at people indoors at a basketball game.
I also remember, and this isn't the same thing, but the tornado that went through, we talk about the 2008
in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, you can see the water literally going down the stairs. Like you said, looks like
Colorado River.
Looks like a river or a waterfall going downstairs. So the Tigers get a win, weather the storm last night. Not only the real storm, but like you said, 18, 19 turnovers, whatever it was.
18 for the Tigers, 19 for SMU.
And when Brian and I talked to Dave Woloshin this morning, he listed off every hustle stat where the Tigers got their butts kicked, whether it be second chance opportunities, offensive rebounds, turnovers. But when you shoot 60% also, you don't give yourself a lot of big chance to get a lot of offensive rebounds.
And all that great for the coach and the staff for motivation.
It is.
Oh, yeah. That's special ordered when you have a win like that. And now it sets up Sunday at FedEx Forum with the eyes of the college basketball world in the college basketball month on Memphis.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I think we've kind of been talking about how it's pretty much going to be a sellout Sunday. I think less than 1,000 tickets available for that game on Sunday, so it should be a great one. But Kendrick Davis in his return to Dallas, I mean, not his best performance, but 23 points. 10 assists and 3 rebounds, 5 turnovers. But
I thought he pressed.
Yeah, I thought so for sure.
I thought the whole team was extra pass night.
Mm-hmm. It was. It was real, like I said to start. It was a sloppy game. I mean, just from start to finish, it was sloppy. I don't know if Kendrick. He said that he thought there was going to be some jeering going on from the student section, but I don't think he thought it was going to be like that. Every time he touched the ball, being chanted traitor. There was only about 50 students in there. I mean, there wasn't obviously the sirens going off before the game.
This is the same student body that in mass were booted out of a football game a few years ago.
That is correct.
SMU, really?
Yeah. The whole student body told to leave.
Against Memphis or in another game?
Was it against Memphis? I think it was against Memphis.
Wow, they just don't like those Tigers.
Because I don't know, I don't watch much SMU football when they're not playing the Tigers.
SMU also has a fairly, I don't want to say fairly large, I don't know, but it has a pretty good contingent of Memphis-based students.
And always has a lot of SMU ties here. And I think mostly it's been pretty fun, especially since Larry Brown got there to Highland Park to now. What I would like, I think from published reports I've seen, I thought some of it was near a line, but I have not heard nor seen anything that it was over a racial component line. Is that accurate?
I haven't heard anything anywhere close to that.
No, I don't know if anyone's told you. No one's told me specifics that were said at all. I just know that
it was incessant.
There was a lot of incessant jeering. And that's literally the word that's been used every time is jeering.
Yes.
Well, maybe uncalled for, but that's life on the road, and that's life that we're going to have in the portal world.
Oh, yeah.
In the conveyor belt of player world, and I didn't think last Sunday to Landers Nolley was near a line, not even approaching one. And I don't even know if it was. I don't even think it was split. Did you think it was split?
No,
I didn't. I thought it was rather tame. And then when he would miss a shot or two, it might be some invoking of, hey, you're missing shots for them like you did for us. Okay, but we're going to get used to this.
Oh yeah,
because I've said in college football world, this year's hero of the Egg Bowl, the Iron Bowl, the Red River Shootout, the Cocktail Party, the Civil, any of those big games could be playing against you next year and could be the hero for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a lot of these, especially college basketball games where the student sections are so close to the court, it's a lot of times you're trying to find things to, get after the other team for. I mean, when you're playing a team that has a guy that used to play for you, they become public enemy number one.
They just do.
And it becomes an extremely easy target.
And he said he had that game circled.
Yeah.
He had that game in Houston circled. I don't know if any of it's that necessary. I hate through the years how popularized and glamorized that the Cameron crazies have gotten. I guarantee you some of the stuff they were chanting at Duke, late 80s, 90s, it wouldn't be cool now.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was never of the racial component. I don't want to allege that to Duke. It wasn't. But it was right up to some lines that I don't know that you could get there. Now, I don't think we're softer. I'm not that averse to political correct because I've said about PC. Can you imagine how crude this society would be if we didn't have some restraints? Because it's a lot's out there right now.
Sure is. But yeah, I don't think it got anywhere close to any of that. I did hear. I think Dave said to us this morning on his show that security, I think, had to get involved at one point. I think that was just more because of language and stuff.
Back up, that's enough.
Being right there on the radio
that's
crew.
Right. He alleged that alcohol was involved.
Yes, he made
big
it clear
surprise.
That
College kids Thursday night
alcohol
involved.
And Jay Morgan, we're asking for that now with the access to that at arenas that wasn't always the case in college sports. And it sure wasn't at basketball. Forever, the half pint in a boot was a football thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even my rowdies and me leading the charge, we didn't drink at basketball.
We loved, when I was in college at Texas Tech, we loved a Thursday night, whether it be football, well, I guess not basketball because I was there, but we loved a Thursday night football game because it meant Friday, probably no class. Extra weekend, extra day of drinking on Thursday night. I wasn't 21, so I wasn't drinking. Obviously,
I'm watching.
I just watching other people do it.
Your mom's glad of that.
That's right.
She knew that. And the real pros start on Wednesday.
Oh, I don't know if I ever got that intense, but I'm sure they do.
Intensely watching.
Intensely watching.
And the real reprobates start on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And even if you go one step further, they never stop.
They never ended.
Yeah. Ooh. That's, I've never gotten that close. But a good game, nonetheless. I mean, a win's a win. It was the most important game on the schedule. You get the win. That's
and it was never any doubt.
No. I mean, even, I think, 10 or so minutes left in the second half, which that second half seemed like it took 3 years to complete. But I think, SMU cut the lead to like 6 with about 10 minutes left in the second half, but it never felt like, here comes SMU. It never felt like those UCF games or those Tulane games from earlier in the season where they'd kind of cut into it and you go, here they come. This is about to get ugly real quick. It all seemed like it was going to be very safe.
But Coach Penny Hardaway, a guy coming up through Memphis high school gyms, playing college basketball NBA, I'm sure, has heard it all. For it to rise to the level that he had to voice his displeasure so loudly about it, I'm going to yield to him that it was probably inappropriate.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
But it happens, and you just hope it doesn't again. And not so fast on SMU to the Pac-12. They may not have a pack to go to with the news that's breaking today. I think Stuart Mandel had a pretty big story out there at The Athletic, now picked up by a lot of the college football national types of full Cannonball Express from the what's remaining of the pack to other places.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like that we could maybe see that happen, and especially once you kind of get down to the either, help me pronounce it, Jay Ion.
Ion, you nailed it.
I nailed it.
Formerly
Ion
PAX
or
TV.
PAX TV.
It could be the PAX 12.
Wow, the PAX.
Thought I'd make that joke a second time.
There you go.
It worked both times.
Yeah, thank you.
But, I mean, once we got to the point where it was your TV deal was probably either going to be Ion or Apple Plus, it seemed like that might have been, especially for a lot of these presidents and athletic directors, maybe that last straw of, okay, we got to figure out something to do here because this ain't going to fly.
And the idea of the pack going away, we'll definitely talk about this in about an hour, in exactly an hour, with Bruce Marshall, who has been predicting this for a while.
Yeah.
Back to Larry Scott, he said it was just malfeasance and malpractice, the administrative job done by Larry Scott running that conference. But for them to potentially, looks like they're going to be joining the Southwest Conference, of just going away.
Yeah.
It could be, though, the first thing that crossed my mind, I have no expertise on this subject at all, but that's never stopped me before. What crosses my mind is like when the Big East was transferring, allowing Memphis and stuff in, and then those Big East basketball schools just took the name the Big East and started essentially the same league under different leadership, a new commissioner.
So you think a new formed WAC or Big West could just take that name?
Maybe so.
They could.
Or maybe these exact schools and add one or two in there in addition.
But we'll know it's really not.
Under new leadership, maybe the same name, maybe a different name.
Because that Big East for basketball that became basketball only, I respect and revere and know that it had historical basis
with those schools in a lot of respects. Mostly,
it's still odd to look at the Big East and realize who's the team in there. Is Creighton in the Big East?
Creighton is in the Big East.
It's Creighton that I always go.
And no Syracuse.
Yeah.
And last weekend for me, I had to remind someone, Maryland is in the Big Ten.
Is in the Big Ten. It's crazy.
They're not in the ACC. I don't know that I ever convinced the person I was telling of that.
Well,
are you sure about that? I'll have to double check. I got to look again.
I got to look on Google.
I think it's
do this for a living. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's crazy. Syracuse is in the is not in the Big East either. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It is to Boeheim too.
He don't like it.
He's still running hot over it.
And complaining that everyone in this league is buying their teams. I don't think Carmelo went there on his own volition.
I wanted the Pac to make it with the remnants left after USC UCLA's exit, because I thought the more viable power conferences would redound to good for the University of Memphis. I think it makes it more difficult for the University of Memphis to land without one existing, or one existing in what we once knew it as. But I still think 20 is the magic number for a lot of these leagues.
Like the SEC and the Big Ten specifically, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be weird to see 20 teams in one conference.
If the Pac-12 is to go away forever, how do you think history will remember it going away? Will they remember malpractice from leadership, or will they blame UCLA and USC, or do you think there's enough room for a combination of both of those things?
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
The Bill Walton Conference of Champion Pac defenders will blame it all solely on USC and UCLA doing it to them.
Yes.
If they're honest with themselves and they do a real, not even a deep dive, heck, just stroll around in the shallow end. I mean, just stroll around in the kiddie pool. You did a lot of this to yourself.
Completely.
Oh, yeah, I think 100%.
Your network was a joke. Your leadership was a joke. The money they spent on those elaborate offices, I think in San Francisco, nobody – the SEC offices in Birmingham, they're nice. no streets of gold, are they, though?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if they've changed locations or not, but if you didn't know where the SEC offices were in Birmingham, you drive right past them and not even blink an eye.
You kind of stumble. You get to the arena, you get to BJCC, and it's over there by the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Yeah. Did either of y'all watch the Arizona USC game with Bill Walton on it last night?
I did. Loved it.
Bill Walton was in rare form last night.
Maybe rarest.
He at one point called out Joe Lunardi on an ESPN telecast.
Oh, ESPN on ESPN Crime.
He said something like, the Pac-12 is going to have 7 to 8 teams in the big dance. And whoever was doing play-by-play last night was like, no, they're going to have about 4. And he goes, well, that's ludicrous. This is the Conference of Champions. What does Joe Lunardi even know?
Who is he?
Who is this guy? And the play-by-play guy was like, he does a great job. He does so much for ESPN. This is great. You wasn't having any of it.
You can tell play-by-play guy,
yeah.
HR is going to be calling me before I get back to the room.
Had to be Dave Pash. It's always Dave and Bill Walton.
It might have been. It was too late for me. I turned it on late. I didn't even know who was doing it.
I think Dave Pash is best with him because he can somewhat rein him in. But you can tell when he gets thrown with rather anonymous, newer guy, and then during the broadcast, go, what's your name again? I don't even know who you are.
Roxy Bernstein was the gentleman last night.
Roxy's good.
Yeah.
But you can tell he almost degrades them by going, I don't even know who you are. Why'd they put me with you?
Because Joe Lunardi, give me a bracket in January.
Yeah.
Said, that's not true. And Walton chimed back, it is true. And then he goes, that's not true. And Walton chimes back, it is true. It's going back and forth. And Bill Walton's doing NBA games now for NBA League Pass as well. He has like one game a night. It's called the Walton Broadcast.
It is
and it's all Bill Walton.
I think he's been running really hot since USC and UCLA because he loves it. He knows it. Mm-hmm. He's lived it.
Yeah.
He knows it football-wise. I love bringing this up. Bill Walton had a brother, Bruce Walton, that was a great special teams player in the 70s for the Cowboys.
Really?
He knows football.
I didn't know
like
that.
Like on special teams or kicker or punter?
On special teams.
I see.
Like linebacker.
Oh, wow. Like gunning or something like that. Wow.
Interesting. Yeah, Bill Walton.
Not surprising, though. He and his son, both very good, well-built athletes, too. It's not surprising those genes would make good athletes in other sports as well.
Yeah. Well, let me set up today's show before we get into top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we're going to get back into the Tiger talk, a little bit more about their win over SMU, and then the big game Sunday against number 1 Houston. 3:45, we'll talk the Grizzlies as they're going to take on Denver tonight, the late night game on ESPN. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet will join us. We'll talk to him about some college football, these potential changes to the Pac-12 and some other things with Bruce. Will also get his picks. 4:30, Ty Richardson from ESPN Fort Smith will join us to talk some Razorbacks and the SEC. 4:45, we'll do big number of the day. At 5 o'clock, Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal will join us to talk about the Tigers and that big game on Sunday. 5:30, we'll do What's Trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap it up like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But we're all sitting in the Family Leisure Studios today where family and fun come together. Preseason patio and pool sales are going on now. Buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. Pool season, it's just around the corner. So buy now and get ahead of that summertime rush with the early bird pricing. Free layaway and special financing available. Be ready to enjoy the backyard as soon as spring hits. Mention this ad, get half off delivery and installation. That's Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
We sure appreciate them every day. For the last month, so I like to give the Tigers net at this time. It's 37, one above, one better is Auburn at 36. We know how that happened. Yeah. We know how that worked out head-to-head. Mm-hmm. I think head-to-head should really matter.
Should.
And one behind them is Rutgers. Houston's net.
Ooh. I love Rutgers, by the way. I know that's an aside.
Tough loss last night for them.
I know.
Houston's net, there's nobody above them. Number 1.
And number 1 in the AP poll, too, right?
And one behind them, Alabama. Bama beat them, and we know how the Tigers fared with Alabama. So you look at whether it's AP or net, the top teams, we've kind of coalesced to this point on March 3rd, Houston and Alabama.
Yeah.
The Tigers have shown they can stay on the court with them.
They sure have.
And a real tough test this week, and not only get a chance to stay on the court with one of them, but to beat one of them as well.
Sure could. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in town. That is Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. Again, the only Lexus dealership in town is Lexus of Memphis. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day is what Memphis did last night. They won their most important game of the season despite the sloppy play from both teams, really. I mean, turnovers galore, 18 for the Tigers, 19 for SMU. Memphis only scored 1 second chance point, 9 offensive rebounds to SMU's 14 offensive rebounds. So, I mean, it wasn't a great performance, but then you look at the shooting numbers, 68% from the field in the first half, 60% from three in the first half, and then finished off 51% from the field for the game and 52% from three-point in the game. So shooting looked really good. It was just kind of a sloppy game all around that. But it all sets up for probably the most important game in a really long time for the Tigers against number 1 Houston on Sunday. We've talked all week about how packed out it should be, and that really means something in college basketball. You know, it doesn't mean as much in the NBA. This is professionals, but home court advantage is a real thing in college basketball, and we'll see what happens Sunday morning, what should be a great one.
My top story, it's the Grizzlies tonight in Denver against first place and presumptive team to beat in the Western Conference of the NBA. A win in Denver could be the accelerant to a great season, go a long way to securing the 2 seed at minimum and maybe 3 at the very worst. The rest of the schedule isn't easy, but it relaxes after this road trip to Denver and then 2 in Los Angeles. It relaxes a little bit after this road trip, but it's tough tonight. And Denver motivated by last Saturday night in Memphis.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day is one of the biggest stories in college basketball yesterday, Antoine Davis, and trying to break Pistol Pete's all-time scoring record. He got close. I think he was 3 off from tying, 4 from breaking it, but I flipped that game on with about 4 or 5 minutes left, and he just went ice cold. Ice cold the rest of the game. They were up early.
So we can blame you
Youngstown.
then.
We can blame me if you want. They were up
break it,
for most of the game against Youngstown, and then he just started kind of throwing up shots, trying to get it, trying to win the game for them. They lost to Youngstown in Youngstown, Ohio, and now the CBI is kind of hinting, teasing even, that they might invite Detroit to their tournament. And
pulling an old Independence Bowl for trying to get a crowd.
I mean, look,
get some attention.
I understand people being upset and not thinking that 5 years to 3 years is anything. But if he had gone out there last night, or if they had beat Youngstown and he passed them tonight, I would still say he's the all-time scoring leader.
Too.
But if Detroit goes down and plays in a pay-to-play tournament just so that he can break the record with 4 points left, maybe the biggest asterisk in sports ever.
I'm not an asterisk guy, but that one's approaching it.
Biggest one ever.
Because they're really forcing it. My not top story was last night. Tigers take care of business. Plenty didn't go well, but a lot went right. Most importantly, what you really play for, to win. And now the Tigers, it sets up for the free shot Sunday against mighty Houston. Phi Slamma Jamma went to 3 straight Final Fours. This Houston team in the last 3 years went to Final Four in 21, Elite 8 last year, and it feels like at least Elite 8 or so at worst this year. I'm trying to set this up. This team might actually be better than Phi Slamma Jamma. They don't have the great nickname. They don't have the transcendent player that Akeem Olajuwon was and Clyde Drexler was and a couple other really good players. But what if this? I know Kelvin Sampson's a better coach than Guy V was. I think most basketball people would buttress that. So Sunday afternoon and we know the great games that Memphis and Houston had in the day, this might be a better team than Phi Slamma Jamma. If they win it all in Houston, that definitely makes them better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. The game is
A natty, I don't know.
But you mentioned how prominent those players were on Phi Sigma Gamma.
Ricky Winslow.
And
Justice Winslow's dad was some player.
Sasser's a senior, right? Mm-hmm. So he probably will get drafted or at least have an opportunity to play the NBA. And the game is just not the same. It's just not the same.
But it was ruled by big men then.
It was, but also
you and Keith Lee, Pinckney at Villanova, Joe Klein at Arkansas.
More fundamental and schematically sound, too. Not to take anything away from Houston, but totally different.
Just the sport itself.
I'll take Phi Sigma Gamma.
I'm going to revisit this with our big number of the day.
I love it.
To make my case that this Houston team's better than Phi Sigma Gamma. Setting it all up. I'm weaving you all in.
Like it.
Tapestry.
The reverse tsunami. Then it all washes out, and then it blows back in.
Well, I mean, now everyone's got to stay locked in for the for your big number of the day to kind of see how you tie it all back. But that'll be fun. I
you
think
know
I
what
have
today
a good
is,
big
don't
number.
you? 3/3/23.
I have no idea.
March 3rd,
it's March 3rd. I know that.
3/3/20. Let's make it Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan.
Oh, the Bulls! Oh man, I hadn't even thought about that.
Do you think of a better 3/3/23 combo ever in sports?
I can't.
Trying to put Mike Miller with someone that was 23, but LeBron was 6 when he was in Miami.
3/3/23.
Wow.
It's as good as it gets right there.
I did that all on my own at 5:45 this morning.
Wow. That was your morning.
And that's not even your big number of the day.
Not
it's
even
3/3/23.
Maybe
I'm
I'm
going to blow you away with big numbers.
I can't wait. But let's get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk some more Tiger basketball and their big game Sunday against Houston. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I know you're thinking about pools and patios right now. Don't deny it. They're on your mind. So it's a good thing that Family Leisure is having their preseason patio and pool sale. It's like they're mind readers. You can buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. You want free layaway? Done. You want special financing? Done. You want to be ready to enjoy your backyard just as soon as spring hits? Family Leisure has you covered. Patio and pool season is not that far away. So now's the time to take advantage of this fantastic early bird pricing special. Now here comes the really special part. If you mention this commercial, you get half off delivery and installation. I'll let that sink in for a second. You heard me right, my friends. You mentioned this very commercial, and Family Leisure will give you half off delivery and installation. The preseason patio and pool sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Witten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Attention, guys. By now, you should know that when it comes to male enhancement pills, most of these contain the same ingredients that are repackaged over and over again. Why take the same old when you can perform in the bedroom with confidence at the highest level? That's why Noxitril needs to be on your bedstand. If you thought that the little blue pill works well, wait till you try Noxitril. Thousands of men each week have switched from that prescription blue pill to Noxitril. That's because Noxitril is automatic. No need to worry anymore. When it's time to perform, we've got this. Explosive results you can count on, so call now and take advantage of our special free bottle offer today. Oh, and as a reminder, please use the Noxitril dose as directed. It's that strong. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease or condition.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril while supplies last. Call 1-800-231-8913. That's 800-231-8913. Free bottle for limited time. Call now. 800-231-8913. 800-231-8913.
They say you can't have it all. The incredibly versatile Mercedes-Benz SUV family proves otherwise. Top-of-the-line vehicles, each groundbreaking in their own right. There's the versatile GLC, the optional third-row GLB, the powerhouse GLE, the agile GLA, and the brilliantly cutting-edge Mercedes-Benz GLS. Each SUV boasts the seamless technology you'd expect from a signature Mercedes-Benz vehicle. With the category-leading safety innovations, your family deserves. From MBUX voice-activated technology to pre-safe collision response that initiates passenger protection measures in a matter of seconds. Each SUV in this family built to protect what matters most, your family. The exceptional 2023 Mercedes-Benz SUV family. Intelligence not yet seen from SUVs. A family of distinct models, all equally impressive. Test drive one of the 8 impressive models at your local dealer or learn more now at MBUSA.com.
Do not. Do so. You do not love Central Barbecue more than me.
I've been talking about Central Barbecue for years. I was the first person to do these spots.
Well, I may be new doing them, but I want to shout from the rooftops just how much I love it.
Okay, smart guy. What are the sides at Central Barbecue?
Easy. Home-cooked pork rinds, home-cooked potato chips, greens, green beans, barbecue beans, onion rings, fries, and potato salad.
Lucky guess. What can you buy by the pound, huh?
Beef brisket, pulled pork, smoked turkey, my favorite, pulled chicken, smoked chicken, and barbecue bologna. Ha!
We're out of time.
I could do this all day. Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and we talked a little bit to open the show about the Tigers' win over SMU, but we're going to get into it and the big game against Houston. But, Brett, do we have the Tiger bankroll? I know you wanted to share that before we went to break.
I think the largest one-day take ever in the Tiger bankroll last night, Jay Morgan Harder, he went pretty much all in. $550.
Should have gone completely all in.
No, but I didn't want to ruin the segment and be out of money before the rest of the year, so I did almost all of it.
I don't know. Okay.
Laying 6.5 and getting there easily. It was a group lock, our first group lock for all of us. So we're 4-3 on the year. Us three 1-0. And you're wanting to blame it all on Gabe anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Well, see, now I've earned enough money.
I told you we were talking about
I can put it on Gabe
That's
at this
right.
point. Even so, all these big wagers, he put me in this hole. So no matter what, I got blamed again.
That's great. Bryant went 50 to win, to get to 1,800, and take his season total picking Tigers to 23-7 against the spread.
Good year.
I was telling that to people at lunch, and they were all against the spread. ATS. Going, yes,
right.
23-7.
Gonna say.
I'm telling you, Brian, you should sell these picks,
You know,
man.
I keep telling you, the gut, I couldn't.
And you got 2 guts, right?
Yeah, I have 2. And yesterday, one of the games, I had to use both guts. But for the Tigers, I just used one gut. I don't feel comfortable taking people's money just based on gut picks.
That's right.
77% gut.
That gut's good.
Is it?
To get to 1,800, that's an 80% return on your 1,000 you started with.
That's a gut that doesn't eat vegetables right there. That's what it gets you, 77% return.
Honestly, it might be.
I call that a good diet.
I mean,
I call that a healthy diet.
That's right.
Jay doesn't.
Why ruin a good meal with asparagus?
Literally.
Unfortunately, there's asparagus in my dinner tonight, I think. So,
But 77%, 80% return, all that's just mind-blowing. The Tigers are 13-17 on the year against the spread. That's what you are now, Jay Morgan. You're 4-4 standalone, 13-17. I'm 13-17, and I got there with $10.
So what does that take you to?
90.
I almost back up to 100.
Can I play with y'all?
Sure.
I'm interested to see what this Houston line is going to be.
Me too.
Ken Pomeroy has them favored by 6 points.
That's what you guessed, didn't it?
I guessed around 5 or 6. Yeah.
There's no way that line is going to be that large. Is it on the road?
I mean, it's the number 1 team in the country.
Fair enough.
We will do that offline, but we will announce the news Monday. I can tell you now, if it's Houston more than about 4.5 or 5,
taking Tigers,
no doubt for all I have left. Maybe cash in.
Wow.
Let y'all fend for yourself in Fort Worth.
Or win it all, and then you're back in it.
To 180.
That's
Double
right.
it up.
Then go 180 in first
Double
game
that
in Fort
up.
Worth. 360, then go 360, 720, then go 720, and I'm in the lead.
You're back in it.
Gaming is easy, isn't it, Jay
That's
Morgan?
right. It's all, you got to
When
double
you're
That's how
up.
easy it is, isn't it?
I used to call that the John Harden method. I don't know if he's ever gone double up like that, but it seems like something he might do.
Seems
So
like something he'd
I
do.
give him credit for
He
it.
rolls around in a Jag for a reason.
That's
Right?
exactly
That's a good
right.
point.
It's a fun automobile.
Great point.
to meet John in that rolling down the street in that Jag. He's all thrown back in it. It's great, isn't it?
I drove past one of his watering holes one time, and I knew exactly where he was. His car stands out like a sore thumb.
Oh, yeah.
Parked long ways.
That's right. Always.
They have 2 spots for it.
Always. It's a nice car. No one get too close to it.
Well, Jay and Dave usually make picks on Friday. Didn't have enough time to get full picks from him, but we asked him about the Tiger game on Sunday. He took the Tigers straight up.
He thinks Tigers win at home.
We didn't even give him a line.
I'm there too.
And it's honestly, I mean, truly, this is not to just ring the Tigers' bell too much, but seriously, home court advantage matters a lot in college basketball. These college kids are greatly affected by a loud home court. I've seen it time and time again where a team that has no business beating one of the top 10 teams in the nation does it.
Yep.
And it's just those teams can't handle the road environment.
Now, the Tigers are different than this, but especially at a place that where they play their games, where they practice every day. There's something to knowing those rims. Now, FedEx Forum is different. I've long said one year it was notorious foul shooting trouble for the Tigers, and I told Josh, I said, ask for more arena time, and y'all go down there. And there's no need to practice them at El Marone or at the Finch Center or at Laurie Walton. Go down there and practice the free throws where you're playing.
They at least get to do shoot-around at the arena,
don't
they?
They do, but I would want more time down there.
Can't have enough, honestly.
Fair. But it should be. I also think the way we're talking about student sections and getting it loud, the FedEx Forum and University kind of changed the student section a couple games ago, and everyone has said, I haven't been to a game since they've done that, but everyone said the student section is much better since they've done that. So I think that will help a lot.
Well, not only the student section, but they're going to have people
just being packed,
filling up to the top of the arena.
Yeah.
That noise that just non-students, every crowd is going to create.
And it gets loud.
It's going to be a tough place to play on Sunday.
Because I remember some of those games where, in the summer they come out with all the actual total how many butts and seats. And some of those games I'd go, there were way more people than that actual number because it just sounded so loud when you're down there courtside.
There are some people that really dispute some of those numbers with scanning issues. I don't think there's much of that in Sunday. I can't wait to see this crowd when we get the real count.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be the closest to the box score number in a long time. And look, most places around college basketball aren't asking their home crowd to fill that many seats. No. A really great college basketball crowd is 8,000 or 9,000 people. And the Tigers, even when we're critical, when we haven't been, and I haven't been, I've intentionally stayed away from scan count talk this year. But even when it's suspect, it's still around 8,000 or 9,000.
Yeah.
You know how great a crowd that is at most places?
It's really
most places in the SEC. They're really glad to have that.
Thompson Bowling Arena, 21,000. Rupp Arena, one of the pinnacle arenas, 23,000. Those are not big arenas.
And they're not close to those being full.
No.
Never.
Most nights.
No.
Florida. Arkansas is still a big number, but they want to reduce it either in the remodel. LSU hadn't had 8,000 or 9,000 all year.
The O'Connell Center's 10,000.
Yeah,
wow.
and I said it about Oxford last Saturday. Had 12,000 at baseball. The basketball arena doesn't even seat that.
Yeah.
Humphrey doesn't. State doesn't. Mizzou, what's their capacity?
Texas Tech, 15,000. Let me see Mizzou.
A&M's doesn't have 8 or 9 most nights. This year with their success they have. So even when the Tigers get picked at
15,000 at Missouri.
Yeah,
they're still selling a lot of tickets, not always occupied. And at football, they're asked to sell a lot of seats.
I mean, there's a lot of seats in Liberty Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Let's say it right.
A&M 13,000.
Yeah, so.
I bet you A&M hadn't had really a crowd over 11 all year.
We talk about how good Auburn's crowd is, and it's rocking 9,000.
I was about to say they're
less than 10.
Their arena's tiny. Yeah,
for Bucolic. By day, tiny little town.
Yeah.
By slow day in June, Auburn is a small little town.
Yeah. Well, but the way that is set up with the students wrapped around and right on top of you, that's the way to do it in those small arenas.
I looked up Oklahoma State because Oklahoma State, I imagine, might be smaller than you think too, because their seats go straight up in the air. I mean, it's literally like they're leaning over on top of you. but it's 13,500.
And they got to that capacity from the old seating configuration by taking off the roof and
expanding it
and bringing it up.
How about that?
And one of the worst TV crowd shot camera positions ever. It's like you're looking straight down from the top of the arena, like you're in the catwalk a lot of times.
I mean, those people are literally on top of you on that court. It's crazy.
Is it?
That's unbelievable. One of the wildest plays ever. Not necessarily the best home court environment.
Sure.
Well, I should see what Iowa State is. Iowa State, those people go crazy. That is one of the most underrated home court advantages in college basketball, certainly in the Big 12.
Sure is.
Huh.
And you see a couple of mock brackets out there, not Iowa State, but Iowa potentially for the Tigers in the second round. Don't stereotype as slow and lumbering. They've scored in the 80s and 90s a couple of times this year.
Absolutely.
Iowa just beats who? Purdue? No. They just beat somebody, though, right?
Michigan State.
Michigan State. That's exactly right.
Because that was the unreal. Everyone was scoring all day long, 112 to 106.
It was like the G League broke out in the Big Ten.
That's right, because Iowa shot 28% from three on the road all season, and they shot like some ungodly number from three that night.
Iowa just beat Indiana.
Oh, just beat Indiana. That's the team I was thinking of was Indiana, and they shot really well against Michigan State.
Put up 90 points against number 15 ranked Indiana.
You were talking about tournament matchups for the Tigers as well, Brett. I was looking at Jerry Palm this morning, and I believe he had them matched up with Creighton. Which is as a 10 seed matched up with Creighton, which is that's a tough matchup though.
But bring it on. I mean, I don't lay awake at night over it. Might lose by 15.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Lenardi
that's what I was about to say.
has Memphis as a 9 seed playing Illinois in the first round. And you beat Illinois, Kansas.
Okay.
And then
might lose a little sleep over that.
That's wild because Lunardi has them second round would be Kansas. Jerry Palm has their second round would be Kansas State.
Wow.
Oh, the Memphis Tigers tournament destiny goes through the state of Kansas.
I just want somehow Arkansas, Tennessee in that first weekend mix somehow.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Do you think I think you said yesterday there's no way Tennessee even has a chance at this point. You don't think there'll be a 2 or a 1?
I don't think it'll equate to their net. No.
Right.
I think that's what I said.
Because that's right. That's exactly what you said. And I believe you because of the record in that regard. But that would be great if they could get a 1 or a 2 seed. You got a much better chance of Memphis matching up with them at some point.
Yeah.
One thing about playing Kansas, you win that game, you have that day off, and then you play them again. At least it wouldn't be a week of rehashing 08. Because I just don't think it serves any purpose. Because
I would hate that.
It was too painful.
They wouldn't even have time for unless it's a Thursday, Saturday. They wouldn't even let us get on the radio and talk about 08 at that point. If it's Friday, Sunday,
I hope it is Friday, Sunday, where it doesn't have to be gnawed on. Because I was here, sitting right over there. The desk was positioned differently, right over there that morning, and. Boy, Tiger fans, you might want to blame me. Because I knew Dave was super busy on the broadcast. So I text George. I go, what's the plan for in the morning? How do we want to treat this? What do we want to do? I'm sure wall to wall. And George said, not over yet, but of course, it's going to be VE Day. I mean, it's going to be treated biggest anything that's ever occurred in this town.
Get you a map, start drawing out where the parade's going to go through.
Oh, we did.
So, Brett, I can blame you for ruining my childhood. Thanks, Brett.
Oh, man.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Bryant needed a scapegoat all these years.
I did.
Like.
And that next day and that next week and for months after that, we all knew. You don't pick at this. This is raw. This is sensitive. This one hurts.
Still hurts.
I think it never happened. I think which is what John Harden was talking about today.
Hold on, it's like Wilt's 100. It never happened.
I don't remember, Brett. I went through the annals of the NCAA record books, and I just couldn't find any record of that 2008 Memphis basketball team.
It happened.
I don't know why. I couldn't find it on their website, but it seems like
that's weird.
On Sunday, Jim Nance will be here.
Yeah,
and he pointed out in the broadcast that night, and they went back and reviewed a disputed 2 that ended up being a 3. Kind of at his provocation.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't even want to talk about it. And I don't want to see Kansas.
One of the nicest people out there. Don't be mad at Jim Nance. It was a 3. This weekend we've got a lot of great sports, and we've got plenty of great places to go. And Walker Taylor and the commissary, they know that. They know there are a lot of great places to go down in Memphis, but they know they have two of the great ones right here for us. At the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the mainstay, the original in Germantown from the 1980s 80s, from 1981 to be exact. A lot of hard work put in it, and the appreciation of being in this town and doing business for their neighbors, for people they live with, work with, and around all the time. Big groups, perfect place to go to get that Memphis-style barbecue that screams Memphis, the authentic Memphis style, the slow-cooked way. If you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733 for the barbecue nachos, tamales, the cheese plate, all those appetizers to start off, the smoked chicken wings, and then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a sandwich, on a plate, all the sides, deviled eggs, beans, slaw, bread as well, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. And those desserts, the whole pies, the whole cakes, and you're in there, the slices of, so good, like the lemon icebox pie, the best I've ever had anywhere, the strawberry cake, banana pudding, 901-754-5540, online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. The games will be on from the Grizzlies tonight through the Tigers early Sunday morning and the Grizzlies late Sunday night. Again, 901-754-5540, online at commissarybbq.com.
And you're talking about Tennessee. It looks like Lenardi, Shelby Mass, and Jerry Palm all have them as a 3 seed, and all three have them on the other side of the bracket from the Tigers. I think it'd be tough for Tennessee to get a 2 seed.
Do the right thing, committee.
Even because they're going to lose to Auburn on Saturday.
And right up there with my treatise is about 68. When they release that bracket, they're also releasing a month-long TV show.
They are,
and you got to get people to watch.
You're right. It's gonna be fun. I'm already so excited with all the conference basketball tournaments we've had. But let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Grizzlies and their game tonight against Denver. That's next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Can I get serious with you for just a minute? When you shop at the Great American Home Store this week, you'll find incredible pricing on quality American-made furniture that's built to last. But if you notice that so many things these days seem to be disposable, but your furniture shouldn't be, right? At the same time, we understand you may not want to keep a sofa around for 20 years. So we search for and find quality-built pieces made to last and keep the cost at, well, what other stores sell lesser quality for. Come in and compare at the Great American Home Store, where you will get the look for a lot less. We offer the Mid-South's largest selection of sofas in every style you can imagine. Dining rooms from casual to formal, bar stools, bedrooms in the latest styles, and the top brand mattress sets from Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, and now the Scott Brothers Scott Living Sleep Collection. This is a great time to save with great pricing and no interest financing at the Great American Home Store.
You know, I always recommend Simply Safe Home Security, and I'm not the only one. U.S. News recently named Simply Safe the best home security system of 2023. And CNET recently awarded them their Editor's Choice for home security. Customize the perfect system for your home in a couple of minutes at simplysafecolin.com. Go today, free indoor security camera, 20% off your order with interactive monitoring. That's simplysafecolin.com. There is no safe like Simply Safe.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You could just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Are you looking to lease a commercial space for your business? Call Stephen Hoffman. Are you a landlord looking to have your space leased? Call Stephen Hoffman. Maybe you're looking to buy or sell commercial real estate. If so, you want a professional broker looking out for your best interest, and that broker is Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Stephen is a Memphis native who knows his market well and only works the commercial side of real estate. He works for a great firm that has been locally owned and operated in Memphis for almost 40 years. Whether representing tenants, landlords, or investors alike, you are sure to get great market analysis, access to on and off market listings, and a tough negotiator on your behalf. Call 901-761-5595 and ask for Stephen Hoffman. You can also find him on the web at MyersCRE.com. That's MYERSCRE.com. Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Representing your real estate business is his business. Call Stephen Hoffman. 901-761-5595.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we wrap up this first hour on the Friday, and we've talked a lot of Tigers as they look to wrap up the regular season on Sunday, but let's talk some Grizzlies. Grizzlies, since returning from All-Star break, 3-1, only loss being the first game on the road to the 76ers. Since then, they've beaten Denver, the Lakers, and the Rockets. Now they're on the road playing Denver, who they handled last week at home. I think tonight's game, 9 o'clock on ESPN, I think there's a good chance it could be very different than the last game.
Well, it's going to be different. Last Saturday night is going to provide a lot of motivation for Denver. Denver, like a lot of teams, they have recognized, the whole league has recognized how to defend the Grizzlies, and that got away from them last week. And I think a little bit of Denver was the white flag. We'll get you next Friday night in Denver. I mean, you got to know when to fold them.
I agree. Yeah. And I think the last win, well, it should give you confidence as a Grizz fan that you can play with this team, especially if it comes to that point playing them in the Western Conference Finals. You should take some confidence for it because they weren't doing that necessarily in the first quarter, and you look dominant in that first quarter. I think tonight's game is going to be a totally different animal, and I don't want to say we to throw you guys under the bus because I definitely kind of spearheaded this campaign. I thought for sure Steven Adams would be back by tonight, but it doesn't look like he's going to be.
Yeah, I thought it too, and he's not. So when?
That's a great question. I mean, now I'm looking for the Clippers game on the road. I mean, you got to be ready for. Not that any of these teams are going to catch you, but these are Western Conference matchups. You want to make sure you maintain that.
Which one's first, the Clippers or the Lakers?
Clippers
are first.
Ooh. I'm thinking more Lakers.
And then that's your distinct advantage. Heck, win. So it's Clippers, Lakers, and then right after that is the two games against the Mavericks. Am I correct?
Home against Golden State, and then home against Dallas and at Dallas.
You got to think he's going to be back by Dallas, and you need him back because Dallas just got back Maxi Kleba. And even though I love Maxi Kleber's defense, having Steven Adams in that game presents a distinct advantage for you if you're the Grizzlies because they're starting 6'8" Dwight Powell, and then Maxi Kleber, even though he can guard larger guys, he's still a 6'9" center they're playing out there.
Maybe a dumb question.
There are no stupid questions.
Where do you miss Adams more, offense or defense?
Good question.
Stick backs, kick back out?
Defense.
Okay.
He's invaluable in offense, and it's not to limit that at all, especially late in games. You've seen late game struggles for the Grizzlies.
Rebounds, stuff like
but
that.
defensively, their entire scheme that they have built around Jaren playing help side defense and blocking shots.
Having that anchor down
If
there.
he has to guard a 5-man, not taking it, we complimented Xavier Tillman the other day, and he deserves it, and Brandon Clark's doing a great job as well. But those possessions and those stints in the game where Jaren has to guard the 5-man, he's not going to stop being himself, so he starts helping what they call up line, which is if your man's at a certain point, he takes a step up towards the three-point line to defend your man, and that's rule number one. You can't do that in basketball because that's when those drop-offs happen, and that's what Jaren ends up doing.
It's been written and talked about a lot nationally. Ja's just scaring nobody from three.
No.
It gotten worse. There was Zach Lowe wrote something today about how it's gotten even worse, and we've noticed that everyone has talked about
that was about 6:15 for me this morning after I put together the big number of the day.
And everyone had talked about all season long is how much better he is from three, but consistently all year, even though it's gotten worse lately, he was still 1% lower, if not the exact same. It's just his shot quantity had gone up this year, which is what most people noticed. Now, you need to shoot with confidence, but you're right. It's really not scaring anybody, and that's the area he needs to grow the most, I would say.
So if you're not scaring them from three and you're not automatic from the free throw line and you're driving to the bucket a lot, people are getting a way to figure the Grizzlies out. They have.
Yeah.
And how much more important does that make Steven Adams in order to create those driving lanes with that seal, the first ball screen and the seal? And also, how much more important does that make Desmond Bane for him to have the kind of night he had the other night against the Rockets? When at the Rockets when he had whatever it was. Yeah, so have a night like that.
At 30.
At 30. It's so important for him to have a night like that because he's someone that can space the floor. It's so important to have Luke Kennard hitting shots. And I think, and this is funny, I get it, John Conchar is not a difference maker on any team, but it is so important in my mind to have John Conchar make or miss, come in and fire the ball from three. You don't want to get
to keep them honest.
You have to, and that's what I learned. That I mean, you learn that from a lot of coaches, but Eric Spoelstra has said that about all those white guys that he has come in and shoot is make or miss. You need to shoot the ball because that's what draws the defense. You need to shoot that ball from three.
At least be a decoy.
Exactly, and I think John Conchar needs to get that approach too. He's too self-critical maybe or too self-aware. Man, I'm not making shots right now. Let me help the team in another way. The way you help the team is you come in and just shoot the ball. Make or miss.
Same for Zaire?
No, because I see Zaire's value. I've never really seen Zaire's value from the three-point line necessarily.
Corner three's not.
Defense. He makes them. He certainly does. But his value has been defensive in my mind the whole time. Now, if he could add that element, that's awesome,
Huge,
man. Like, more power to you. But his value is somewhere else as well.
Yeah, it should be a fun game tonight. That's the late night game, 9 o'clock on ESPN. So you
Sleep
get
deprivation
that,
month.
Get you some caffeine.
Man, get
Sleep
that
deprivation
caffeine in
month's
you 'cause it's
here.
going to be a late one. But, hey, while you're waiting on it, you can watch these mid-major conference basketball tournaments. So it'll be a fun night nonetheless. So we'll see what happens out there in the Mile High City in Detroit. But let's get to a break. When we come back to start the second hour, Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, he'll be with us. That's next.
Golfers, teed up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway, featuring the Paradigm Woods and Irons. The Paradigm Woods are engineered with forged carbon to have unparalleled distance and forgiveness. The irons feature a high-strength forged face for increased launch, speed, and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Unmatched expertise, unmatched service.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-585-8282. 800-585-8282. That's 800-585-8282.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on eating out, fuel costs, and replacing expensive grills that cannot stand up to the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on eating out, fuel costs, and replacing expensive grills that cannot stand up to the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
We're back into Sports Time. Brian Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and Brett. I mean, it just keeps getting worse.
A nice man. Bob Rowan on Twitter, his Twitter handle, and he's a really nice man. The Rowanator 62. I would guess that means birth year 62, around my age, I would guess. Lucky 2-time cancer survivor in his bio. Wow. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. And it says never give up. But he reminds me, 2008, that Monday, I opened the show with one shining moment. He said it gave him chills, and he sat there thinking, I hope this is not jinxing us. I don't think I did it, Bob. If I did, I'm very sorry. I think we started on Tiger game day that year every show with one shining moment. But George and Dave were both down there, and we're having some equipment issue getting connected right at 8 o'clock that morning. So I started it on my own and suggested let's go ahead and roll through it. We played it all the way through, and then I started. By then, I think one or both had gotten connected, and we started the show that Monday. I jokingly say I was the only person. Well, I really was the only person that wasn't in San Antonio. I stayed back here. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That we did, of course, Monday through Friday shows. That Saturday we didn't do anything, and that Sunday Eli called me from San Antonio. Said, hey, Dr. Flynn thinks we should be doing a show today. Tigers in the final 2. Sure. Great idea. And most of his ideas are. So I hustled over and got here, and we did a show. A lot of them joining from down, those guys that were there. Greg was there with TV. Eli was there. Peter was there. George was there. Dave was there.
Everybody but you.
Just about everybody but me. And we had Elliot Perry. We had Hank McDowell on.
Wow.
I think we even had an assistant coach on. It was great that Sunday afternoon doing it. and then that Monday.
Well, I blame you. So I'm just glad I can blame you now. That makes it all
I'll take
better.
the heat.
Yeah. But let's get to Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Bruce, thanks for joining us. I know we want to get into basketball with all these conference tournaments going on, but I do want to start off with some football because it's being reported that the Big 12 is in talks again with some of these Pac-12 schools. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah are the ones being reported. What do you make of this? I know you have kind of had some questions about
it was
how
foretold
the Pac-12,
in the book of Bruce.
Well, we have talked about this before with those four, and it seemed for a while that the Big 12 was sort of backing off on the schools in Colorado and Utah, and sort of, it's sort of like a détente Pac-12. But as this the time has progressed here, and the Pac-12 is still without its next media deal. Some of these other schools are looking around and saying, where it's all a matter of survival now and how it's going to best go. If that should happen, the Pac-12 would be, there'd be 6 schools left. And I don't know how the Pac-12 survives, or I don't know how it makes another a TV contract up with just 6 teams and without the LA schools in there. So this is a very tricky moment for the Pac-12. And
life or death.
The more I've been thinking about this, just from a fan's point of view and the SC-UCLA point of view, it's going to be odd after next year. Well, we've got one more season of the Pac-12 as it is. But I wonder if these USC and UCLA people really thought this through. Like, there's not going to be any more Pac-12 tournament. They're going to have to be going to Indianapolis or Chicago. They're going to be playing regular season games at Illinois and Iowa and Minnesota. That's just basketball. Football's going to be a lot different too. This is. I'm not sure this is going to work out as good for USC and UCLA on the hardwood and on the gridiron as they thought. We'll see if the TV dollars are something different. But the closer this comes to actually happening, the less enthused I am about the way this is all shaken out for the Pac-12.
And Bruce, you're being charitable, saying 6 remain. Are you counting Cal as a viable sports entity?
Yes, that's 6 minus 1, so maybe 5.
What are they at?
With them,
7 wins all year in football and basketball combined.
Well, yeah, it's been this basketball is really awful there now. And I don't know what their prospects are for the future. They're going to, I'm sure, fire their basketball coach, Mark Fox, who's not a bad coach, but he has been able to make no inroads there. And we've talked about this before. There was not a program in the country that got hurt more by COVID than Cal's football and basketball. They had some momentum going in football.
Sure did.
And COVID, and the way they handled COVID up there, when they shut the weight rooms down and the practice facilities and all that, they really fell behind, and they have yet to catch up. And I think in just a retrospect, final postscript college on the COVID stuff, COVID also sort of caused all this stuff with Pac-12. They didn't really play a full football season. The revenues went way down. That's what really got UCLA thinking we got to do something here, because they had put themselves in a debt, and a lot of that happened because of the COVID season. So it really hurt these progressives out in California more than they thought at the time, and the schools have paid the price for it.
Well, I thought it was overreach then. Now it's being proven that it was. It definitely was then. I know we had to be safe. We had to be aware. Novel coronavirus. Look, nobody had a guidebook for this. But the overreach, the overreaction out there, they did a lot to themselves. Bruce, about an hour ago, Jay Morgan and Brian asked me, when we start playing the blame game, who's going to get it? Bill Walton and kind of his ilk want to blame USC and UCLA for everything, kind of being, almost robber barons. But I think a long, hard look in the mirror is necessary.
Oh, I do too. And this is just, listen, I was just up in the Bay Area a couple of weeks ago. In some of these spots, you think it's still COVID up there. People wearing their masks everywhere they go.
Well, you got Cal Poly canceled tonight.
Yeah, and they're still worried about all this, and it's just there's a different mindset there. I can't explain it. I'm actually in California at the moment, but Orange County is not quite as bad as the rest of the state. The Pac-12's problems, though, go back further. And I really think, though, that the seed of all this was planted in the way they didn't implement their network properly.
Mm-hmm.
And their network has never been as profitable as it should have been, and certainly not nowhere close to the Big Ten or then what the SEC started, because they never wanted to partner with a major network. The SEC did it right there with ESPN. The Big Ten had Fox as a partner. The Pac-12 very arrogantly thought they'd go it alone. They were never able to get the clearance on DirecTV. And the reach has never been that far in the Pac-12 network. It has not been the money spinner they thought it was going to be. There is one other thing about the traditional Pac-12. It'll change after SC and UCLA leave. It's pro sports territory, and almost all those big, the centers there, they're pro sports town. SC and UCLA even take a back seat to the Lakers and Dodgers in LA. The Bay Area, Stanford and Cal, talk about Cal a second ago, go up there sometime and try to find some news on Cal. It is all Warriors, it's all 49ers, it's all Giants. And since the Seahawks came up to Seattle, the Huskies don't have Seattle to themselves anymore either. It's a different landscape there, and I don't think the schools and their school presidents really figured that out, and they needed some help to get this network off the ground. They decided to go on their own, and they have paid the price ever since.
They sure have. It's been a mess with that Pac-12 network. But kind of sticking with college football, Brandon Marcello today reported that the Football Rules Committee has recommended 3 rule changes: no back-to-back timeouts, no untimed downs at the end of first and third quarter, and then running clock after first downs gained. It's estimated that this would cut out about 10 plays per game. What are your thoughts on this? I think the Oversight Committee will vote on this in April. What are your thoughts on some of these rule changes proposed for college football?
Yeah, I sort of laugh though when they talk about this is in the interest of player safety. It's in the interest of the TV networks to get this stuff down. If they really were worried about player safety, you'd ban football altogether. Okay, you would ban it if they really want to protect the athletes. There you go. There's your answer. Just don't play football.
Or you cut a game out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you cut a game out. Yeah, of course they're not going to do any of that. But this is all, again, TV network driven, and I don't like that. Practically speaking, at least if they keep the first down thing in the last 2 minutes where the clock does stop, I guess that's better than nothing to keep some of that. But it just looks like, again, the tail is wagging the dog here again. They're doing this because of TV. They're following Rob Manfred's brilliant moves in Major League Baseball. He's doing all this stuff because he wants to get the game into a shorter window. I'm not sure how much practicality, this is really going to help the viewership, if it's going to enhance the game any, because I think it's the wrong reasons why they're doing it. And it bothers the heck out of me that they keep going back to the same, the player safety stuff. Well, next time I hear that, I'm just going to regurgitate it because I'm so tired of seeing the powers that be come up with that as a reason.
Same as the NFL. The big thing the NFL is trying to dodge is that class action for head trauma, anything neck up, dome area. And when they added the 17th game, it showed it. If they were really serious about it, out of the practicality of looking at it for their employees, what makes their game, we go from 16 to 15 games. Oh, but we can't go to an odd number of games. Yeah, but you can go to 17.
Yes, absolutely. So
which is pure
it's very hypocritical about them. They would just say why they're doing it. We're doing it for money. Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. They never seem to admit that. Even USC and UCLA had trouble sort of admitting that this is why they made that move. And certainly the pro sports, just go ahead and say what it is. We're trying to make more money. Don't be ashamed to say it. That's what's going on.
It's the great line. Every time I say it's a sport, you say it's a business. Every time I say it's a business, you say it's a sport. And that's the case. One more football note, and I promise we're going to get to March Madness. Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated, he reports that on pretty good sourcing that the opponents are out. This is what it's going to look like for the SEC for the 3 permanent opponents. I'll go more of the local flavor. Arkansas will have Mizzou, Texas, Ole Miss. Ole Miss will have Mississippi State, LSU, Arkansas. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Tennessee, Vandy, Alabama, South Carolina. Short straw I see here so far, and tough luck for them. They're so good. Alabama gets Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU.
I saw that, and they're doing this a little different than I originally thought, because I thought they were going to have like sort of quadrants there, and they would all sort of be there'd be a quadrant. You just play that quadrant, but it's going to be different for all the schools, I guess. So I mean, it's an imperfect world there, and it's just amazing the hoops they will have to jump through to keep some of these things alive, like Alabama, Tennessee. I thought Saban's remarks when I guess when he heard about this, he said, "Wow, this isn't too good for us because it's a pretty tough, tough three there that Alabama's got." But I mean,
they were playing them anyway.
Much. Yeah, I mean they play them anyway. But no, it's that there's some of these. I'm glad they're trying to keep some of this stuff alive. At least I'm glad they're keeping Ole Miss LSU, because that's been a great rivalry.
You more so
Auburn,
than I.
Georgia.
Yeah. Having to go to Baton Rouge every other year. I love going, but Ole Miss never wins. They don't even take it seriously. They don't.
That's right.
I mean, when we go to when Ole Miss hits Baton Rouge, it's a gimme to them.
It's been that way for a long time. I know. It's just for history's sake, it's kind of neat. But you're right, it hasn't been good. But it's an imperfect situation. They're trying to deal with it. I would hope they go. I don't know if they've announced going to 9 conference games yet. That would be the next thing. I mean, sticking at the 8 has really been I haven't liked that, and I think a lot of fans are liking to see go to 9. Maybe they're doing that too. That'd be more important than whoever they got in the permanent opponents for the teams. I'd like to see them go to 9. We'll see.
Interesting for the permanent opponent front for the 2 new teams coming in. Texas will get OU, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. Well, what'd you join the SEC for? And OU will get Texas, Mizzou, and Florida. Well, at least they get a long, hard road trip from Norman to Gainesville.
Yeah, there had to be, I guess, a few of these that didn't make much sense. Like that one, that's about as far flung as you can get in the SEC now. Oklahoma, Florida. I'm wondering who. They were all clamoring to get Vanderbilt. I guess Tennessee thought that was an okay. Keep Alabama, make sure we keep Vandy as well. But I'm wondering. There's some battling going on.
Looks like Auburn's going to get Vandy. Auburn's going to get Bama, Georgia, Vandy, and after getting Bama and Georgia, you might need a little relief. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah, there you go.
Talking to Bruce Marshall of the Gold Sheet, kind of switching gears, going to some college basketball. I'm curious from your standpoint, Bruce, when it comes to handicapping a lot of these games, a lot of the mid-major tournaments have already started. Next week we'll have more of the power conferences starting, but it's kind of crazy when you look at some of these mid-major tournaments at the very least, because some of them, the entire tournament is at one neutral site. Others, you have campus games for the first couple of rounds, and then it goes to one site. But when it comes to these tournament games, what kind of is the difference from your standpoint as a handicapper when it comes to handicapping these games?
It's tough. I mean, I think they're all a snowflake, and you just kind of keep them each game sort of separate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The neutral venue thing is it's a little bit weird, but I don't know if there's any correlation of that to any pattern. I think when it gets to this time, though, and it'll especially be true next week when we get more of the bigger conferences going, just try to identify some of these. There's going to be some of these teams really desperate to get in the tournament, into the dance, who are either on the cut line or out. And out as far as the at-large goes. And so these are the traditional bubble thieves. And there's a few. I just wrote something for Vegas Insider. It'll be up there later today about bubble thieves to watch in the next week. I'm not sure there is one in the SEC. Vandy would have been an interesting one, but now that Liam Robbins is out, I think that removes them, because the tournament is in Nashville at the Bridgestone Preds Arena. But in the Big East, Villanova has got to be the most quintessential potential bubble thief I have ever seen, because they've gotten healthier recently. Their best player, Justin Moore, just came back not long ago. They're starting to win games again, and they are very much on the outside as far as an at-large goes. They could win the Big East tournament. They knock someone else off the bubble. They're not knocking anybody else out of the Big East, out of the tournament, though. They're a legitimate bubble thief. Washington State is in the Pac-12 because they've got length, athleticism. They almost beat UCLA once within 1 point. They did win a game at Arizona. They got to the NIT Final Four last year. very, very dangerous bubble thief in the Pac-12 there. I think New Mexico's a bubble thief in the Mountain West. They've got Jalen House back. They've lost some very close games to the contenders there. They're on the wrong side of the cut line now. They could win the Mountain West next week. One more, Santa Clara looks very interesting to me in the West Coast. They almost beat Gonzaga and St. Mary's this year. This is a really good team Herb Sendek's got. They got to buy into the third round at the West Coast Conference. So those are 4 bubble thieves I would watch. 2 teams I think that are not going to perform too well. Tennessee, and it's not going to be like last year for Tennessee. I think Rick Barnes just wants to survive next week, especially since Ziegler's injury. I mean, they just had another injury in the backcourt. They got over a couple of weeks ago. He just wants to come out of it in one piece next week. And Virginia is a team I think will not do much in the ACC tournament. They are safely into the dance. You got a lot of hungry teams in the ACC, and Virginia's not playing that well the last couple of weeks. So those are 2 teams I think I would fade into conference tournaments next week.
Bruce Marshall, handicap Houston Cougars at FedEx Forum Sunday at 11 o'clock Central Time, Memphis time, against the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, Houston. This would put Memphis into the tournament for sure, and I think they're probably there now, and they're probably out of the play-in line. But this would put them in for sure, like it did last year when they won they beat Houston twice in the regular season last year. I'm not sure they're necessarily going to do it here this week. There's a nice win at SMU last night, but Houston handled Memphis the first time by 8. It might be closer this time, but Houston just looks like, they can always turn that defense up a notch. So I think Memphis has got its work cut out, but Memphis gets in the dance probably on the 11 line, I think, next week on Selection Sunday. So close one for Houston. I'm not sure if I'd lay the points with Houston, but I think they survive.
And so since we've got all of these conference tournaments today and some college basketball today, do you have any plays for college basketball today?
Yeah, a couple tonight. And these aren't necessarily conference tournament. Well, one out in the West Coast. A lot of times teams play good for one. They're good for one game in the tournament. We saw that in the Missouri Valley. Northern Iowa played really good yesterday. Couldn't quite get there today against Bradley, which is the top seed. West Coast Conference, Portland played a really good game last night against Pepperdine. They are not built to play 2 good games in a row. Now you get BYU. Pretty dangerous team. They'll have crowd support in Las Vegas. Not a big price. I think BYU gets Portland tonight. Totals-wise tonight, here's one. Grand Canyon is playing at Utah Tech, the old Dixie State.
Wow.
Dixie State.
Not far from where I live. Not far from where I live in St. George. Grand Canyon is over 19-2 its last 21 games. The only 2 it wasn't over were both against Seattle. So there's a couple for you tonight. BYU looks good. And over the total, Grand Canyon and Utah Tech.
That's good stuff. Bruce Marshall, tell us more about you and how to get more information from you and the Goal Sheet.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Check us out online, goldsheet.com. We're writing up all these games every day. Also look up at Vegas Insider. You can get my brackets up there and some other stuff I write there. But for every day, though, stuff, college hoops and NBA, goldsheet.com. My picks there. Also at Vegas Insider and donbest.com.
Bruce, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you again next Friday.
Okay, boys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bruce Marshall from the Goal Sheet Tour de Force Performance. All right, y'all know I love doing this. He mentioned Santa Clara.
Oh.
True or false, Santa Clara ever been to the Final Four?
Very true.
False.
Very, very true.
What year?
Late 50s.
My favorite Final Four.
You can't. That's my joke. Oh, that's why I asked, Brian.
Help me with the year for Santa Clara.
That was the one that was right, though. That's why I love it so much.
I know that. True or false?
52.
True or false? Pepperdine ever been to a Final Four?
False.
True.
False.
I'm on it today. Wow.
Oh, you get to pick first.
True or false? Pepperdine once eliminated the Tigers in the NCAA tournament.
True.
Very
False.
true. Very true.
I am on it today.
With their postman.
I'll let you pick first next time.
Marcos Liadi and a power forward, Ollie Matson Jr., son of the great NFL running back, Ollie Matson. All right. Who was Ollie Matson, right?
Yeah, really.
Herb Sendek is the coach at Santa Clara right now.
It was breaking news when Bruce said that, wasn't it?
That's crazy.
It blew, who knew?
I played against him. Where I set the bench while my Texas Tech played against him at Arizona State,
and he was yet another one that couldn't miss, and he was going to be Mr. Right at Arizona State, and they can't ever get it right.
They can't, but maybe
and they don't now.
No, they don't.
And that UCLA second half performance last night only made me love them more for moving them to the middle, like I was talking about.
UCLA's for real. They are very for real.
It's time for our Gould Salon Spa segment. GouldSalonSpa.com is the place you need to go for the best holiday gift or any time of the year gift for any season. It's that Gould's gift card. The best spa packages, salon products, and those gift cards are the hit. For all the locations we have from downtown to out east, it's perfect. Over 91 years of distinction, 300 area associates, making our area feel so good, a commitment to providing a unique fashion-forward experience, and you can get that Gould's gift card or find out more by going to GouldSalonSpa.com. All the locations and the family atmosphere, for sure a family affair. Sons, grandsons, granddaughters, from a small hair salon to today's juggernaut. Upscale ambiance, chic style that once was considered a Hollywood luxury, we have it here all the time. At Gould Salon and Spa, they've been turning heads since 1932, a dream realized by Mr. Sam Gould, and now his family, they carry that on to provide his clientele with a truly professional and unique fashion experience. It's been realized at Gould Salon and Spa, and you can go to GouldSalonSpa.com for those gift cards for the perfect holiday coming up really, really soon. You'll be wanting to think about something for Easter gifts for people. It's perfect for any time of season. Mine is this time of season. This March Madness, we had the discussion, debate of the best sports month. We got them both. We have October in the fall. We have March in the spring. And to enjoy it now with the professional added to it with the Grizzlies, like on Sunday, we'll have almost 14 hours of basketball to enjoy Sunday. These next few days, really around the clock, into next week and into a week from Sunday, the bracket will be revealed. This time of year is great.
You're absolutely right. My style of the week, I got to give it to both the men's and women's basketball teams at the University of Memphis, both locking up the number 2 seed in the AAC tournament. Both are really rolling right now, and it's fun to kind of watch what both of them are doing, especially the women's team with their turnaround the last 2 seasons under Katrina Merriweather. But let's get to a break. When we come back, we will talk to Ty Richardson. I'm all over the place. Ty Richardson from ESPN Fort Smith, Arkansas, about the Razorbacks and the SEC. That's next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com. Click recipes and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
I know you're thinking about pools and patios right now. Don't deny it. They're on your mind. So it's a good thing that Family Leisure is having their preseason patio and pool sale. It's like they're mind readers. You can buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. You want free layaway? Done. You want special financing? Done. You want to be ready to enjoy your backyard just as soon as spring hits? Family Leisure has you covered. Patio and pool season's not that far away. So now's the time to take advantage of this fantastic early bird pricing special. Now here comes the really special part. If you mention this commercial, you get half off delivery and installation. I'll let that sink in for a second. You heard me right, my friends. You mentioned this very commercial, and Family Leisure will give you half off delivery and installation. The preseason patio and pool sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Going back into Sports Time, Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And joining us now from ESPN Fort Smith over in Arkansas, Ty Richardson's with us now to talk some Razorbacks. Ty, thanks for joining us. The Razorbacks sit at 19-11. I think I was just looking at either Joe Lunardi or Jerry Palm's brackets, have them as a 9 seed right now, but one game left against Kentucky. What's kind of the feeling around town right now in Razorback Nation?
Well, the feeling is you got one of the biggest games of your season, and it hinges not necessarily 100% on your NCAA tournament hopes, but it definitely plays a part of it. Right now, Arkansas is projected as an 8 seed by a lot of different people. But, guys, Brett, you know this better than most. Arkansas, Kentucky, there's not a better rivalry in the SEC, and it's probably a top 10 rivalry in college basketball when the two teams are at their height. I know it's not a 90s, Corliss Williamson, Tony Delk matchup that we've seen, but it's going to be a fun game tomorrow in Bud Walton Arena.
It will. In Kentucky, it brings out the passion. The building was a little quiet 2 weeks ago against Florida, but it was a lot of reasons for that. But it won't be quiet tomorrow. It's the one that everybody has circled, and a lot of people want a piece of Big Blue Nation. A lot of people want a piece of John Calipari. And is how you described it, Ty, there's not any scenario where the Razorbacks are left out of the bracket, is it?
I don't feel good if they were to lose tomorrow. and then lose on Thursday next week in Nashville, if they were to get blown out in both those games, that would be 4 straight losses. Now, they still would have a pretty high net ranking, and we know the NCAA evaluation tool is what's most often used, but I just don't want to take that chance. And, I mean, you don't want to end up in Dayton, Ohio in the first 4 either, and if that was to happen, that could be a possibility for Eric Musselman and his team.
Yeah, I think you're right, but kind of going back to right after we talked to you last week, that Saturday game against Alabama, while it was a loss, that battle between Nick Smith and Alabama, really the whole team for Alabama, Brandon Miller.
Both had 24.
Yeah, I mean, it was an unreal game from start to finish, and just those 2 freshmen going back and forth was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 of the best freshmen in the league. Miller, I would be surprised if he didn't win SEC Freshman of the Year. Now, I don't think they're going to give it to Nate Oates. I think that they're going to give it to Buzz Williams. Yeah. And I don't know what you think about that as terms of reflection. They're going to give it to Miller because they don't have any other freshman to give it to. I mean, there's not another freshman in this league. Now, if Nick was playing this season, maybe we'd have a different mindset and thought process, but there's not a freshman in this league that stacks up to what he's done this year. He's the best player on the best team. He's shown up in recent games, and I think he's going to have a big game tomorrow against Texas A&M in their final game. So that's how I see it playing out. And kind of, Brian, like to your point, this is what college basketball is all about. You got these 5-star young men that are entering college, and you see what they can do. And if they shot on the biggest stage at true freshmen, 18 years old, then we're better for it.
Just imagine that and just let them go. It's been fun to watch. And the Nick Smith return has been less maybe less rancorous than I thought it would be. He's been really good, and the team's been okay in those games. So we know how it could end, and it maybe have the feeling of it was not worth it. But how far would Arkansas have to go for it to all have ended really well and no harm, no foul on all the games missed for Nick Smith?
Elite Eight. I mean, I'd be okay with the Sweet 16, and if they lose to a 1 or 2 seed close in the round of 32, I'm okay with that. I mean, guys, it came back. I mean, you heard every NBA draft analyst, and I know there's plenty of NBA guys in Memphis that probably share a similar thought that this guy didn't have to play another second of college basketball. He's going lottery, and he's still going lottery. Now, he, like you're saying, Brett, has had some good games and then had some games that he's still trying to get back in the rhythm and whatnot. But I'm proud of Nick Smith for probably having people in his ear telling him not to come back to school, not to play another second in a Razorback uniform. Yeah, he did it anyway. And that shows that his love for this team, and hopefully that'll pay off in these next few games as we get into March.
Yeah, and you know he had those people. He had the L.A.-based people probably doing that. I thought it was illustrative that when he came back and the examination and the questions around his knee, there's not a wrap on either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he coming back, and again, that's the thing we don't know because of HIPAA 100% what's going on in terms of his health. But I just hope he's okay. I mean, I want nothing but for the best for him, and I'm sure y'all feel the same way about Wiseman and Monty Bates and anyone else that's come through that Memphis program. Brett, you, with anyone that's come through Ole Miss, even if it doesn't work out at college with U of A, kind of like Patrick Beverley's a great example. Like P. Bev, obviously kicked off the team at one point, goes overseas, has a chance to come back, decides the overseas route's better. He still likes Arkansas, and we like him too.
Yeah, you were going along fine until you mentioned Patrick Beverley. We've had a little trouble with him in the
you got to remember you're talking
he's not well liked in Memphis, is he? I probably should have thought about that.
you were doing fine. Ty Richardson, our guest from ESPN Radio in Fort Smith and in Northwest Arkansas, covering all things Razorbacks and the SEC. Ty, even with a win tomorrow, 9 up, 9 down in the SEC, does that sting? That's not anything close to what I thought it'd be like in the preseason.
No, it's not. I mean, they were projected 3 by the media, Brett, and I thought they were going to probably be second, and yet it just didn't turn out that way. I think we didn't realize how good Trevor Brazile was until he started just falling out, and then he tears his ACL, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Then Nick, of course, has his knee injury, as you alluded to, and things got a little rocky, and they responded. And now it's Big Blue Nation coming to town. There's no more polarizing team in the Southeastern Conference, and then maybe outside of Duke and Kansas in college basketball. This is who you want coming into your building to close out the year. And I want to say this. There is a lot of SEC fans that are listening to this program right now. Greg Sankey and his team thought it was better for Arkansas to host Kentucky at the end of the year rather than go to Rupp. That says something about Arkansas fans at Bud Walton Arena, that they wanted this final game inside of Bud Walton rather than that.
And on CBS.
Snooty, dingy, Rupp play. Kentucky's just, just not Bud Walton, man.
Yeah, and the game on CBS tomorrow, it will be wingtip to wingtip at Drake, won't it? The incoming and outgoing after the game?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going to be nuts tomorrow. And I've had a handful of people ask about tickets and whatnot. It won't be sold out, but it will be a better atmosphere that you experienced when you were in town from Florida. I guarantee you
and Florida was good. It just wasn't like Tennessee last year and like Bud Walton usually is. It was still good, though.
Yeah, they're starting to try and get back into it again. That's one of the first few games Nick came back for, and you're trying to get back into rhythm and whatnot, like we've been talking about. And I mean, Brett, you've gotten a chance to see Bud Walton at its peak. I mean, when Tim Brando was there, when that team from Missouri, from Columbia came to town, and I'm forgetting, you're going to have to help me with that coach's name, but that was an Elite Eight team. They beat him by like 40 or 50.
That was Norm Stewart.
Norm Stewart, yeah. I mean, that was the first ever televised.
They beat his eyes out. I mean, it was a mauling.
Yeah, and the rumor is that he told Nolan, it's like either y'all are really good or we are blank. And I think we can figure out what that is.
Arkansas was really good.
And listen, and you worked with Drew Barrett, and I tried to tell Drew, and I've been to the FedEx Forum. That is a great arena, great atmosphere. Been there for Memphis Grizzly games. Been there for NCAA tournament side games. And I told Drew, I said, Drew, wait till you experience a game in Bud Walton, a Heiden game. And he confirmed it. It was either the Kentucky or the Auburn game. He said, Ty, you're right. This is incredible. And anyone that gets to go has probably said the same thing.
And Ty, then there was Barnhill. Then there was Barnhill on that Sunday afternoon in 1984 when Houston was number one in Phi Slamma Jamma and Akeem Olajuwon rolled in, and the Razorbacks beat them that year on CBS. And on Sunday, Houston's going to be in Memphis, ranked number one.
Get them, baby. Y'all do it like Arkansas did it then. Y'all got to do it on Sunday. That was Joe Klein. I've never seen Joe Klein happier than when he fouled. At the time, it wasn't Hakeem. It was Akeem.
Right.
He fouled Akeem Olajuwon out. I've never seen Joe Klein happier. He was jumping up and down, giddy like a little schoolgirl, that he fouled out the best player in college basketball.
He knew he had done his job, and if you could bottle and sell how Joe could play against Akeem Olajuwon in those days, he's made a lot of money, but he would have even more. He was up for him every single time. It was fun to watch. And in the day, a neat note about Houston, I was telling these guys yesterday about like at Vandy with seats on the end line. West Memphis High School did the same thing in the Keith Lee, Michael Cage years, and I think even had both on the same end. But in those days of Phi Slamma Jamma, at home, in the home whites, Houston would be even numbers. Akeem would be 34. Alvin Franklin would be 20. Clyde Drexler would be 22. On the road, they would all be odd. Alvin Franklin would be 21. Drexler would be 23. Akeem would be 35. Different time, though.
Very different time.
Holy cow! I miss the old days, man. I miss old college basketball. And I don't hate the product that I watch today, but when you think about some of those '80s games, and I think about Michael Jordan as a freshman,
it was the golden era of college basketball. Yeah. I really believe that, because most people were staying 4. Just about everybody was staying at least 3, and the tournament going to CBS from NBC after the 81 year to 82, and then coming out so strong with that first one, with the Jordan shot down at the Dome in 82, it set off I think the best years of college basketball.
I mean, you just think about those championships. You had Valvano and NC State sprinkled in there, beating Phi Slamma Jamma like you're talking about.
Villanova, Georgetown.
Villanova, Georgetown. I guess 79 technically was in the 80s. That's still the highest rated game of all time, Bird Magic. Now, let's be clear about something. Larry Bird and Indiana State never should have gotten past the Elite Eight game against Arkansas. Arkansas got hosed.
Sure did. U.S. Reed was tripped. He was.
That was, just ridiculous. But they wanted Bird Magic. I understand that. But, yeah, like you're saying, Brett, we're bringing back the nostalgia for all y'all's listeners right now, thinking about the golden era of college basketball.
We really are. And for me, at Barnhill, the games against Houston were a lot of fun. But when Abe Lemons in Texas would come in,
ooh.
That's when it rocked.
I mean, you think about some Texas basketball coaches. I know that Mac Brown and Royal, those are the football coaches you think of. But, I mean, A. Livingston, Tom Penders, Nolan and Eddie. I mean, you talk about some battles back in the day. You got Jim Robkin with the Spirit Squad and the band. I mean,
Nolan wanted a piece of a Sweet Tom, as he called him, Tom Penders. and if he'd have got his hands on him, he may have killed him.
Oh man, best Nolan Richardson quote is
I said the other day, Ty, I think he's the strongest, mentally strongest person I've ever been around in sports.
Wow.
Did you guys get a chance to watch Southern Hoops?
We
documentary
did.
I haven't watched it yet. I want to so bad.
It's so good.
Brian, it is great, and you and I are same age, so we got a lot to learn with some of this stuff. And I mean, I can only listen and learn from when Brad and Chuck and some of the other guys I'm around tell me about Dale Brown and Penders and Abe Lemons, but the Nolan Richardson stuff. I mean, you got Mitch Albom before the national championship game that chump from the Detroit News saying the smarter team's going to win.
Can you believe that? I mean, you can imagine how it went over because everybody watched the sports reporters on Sunday morning back then. Lupica, Bob Conlon, and Mitch Albom, who wrote the book about the Fab Five a few years later, and wrote famous for Tuesdays with Morrie. That book. He says that, and people are going, "Did you really just say that?" He could get canceled now for that, Ty.
Yeah, and you heard Corliss say there were some racial undertones there. And that's just like
overtones. It wasn't any under to it.
The thing about this, there's a lot of similarities between the city of Memphis and the state of Arkansas, and not bordering. It's not the only thing, but I mean, you think about the Memphis against the world mentality, and Arkansas. Brett, you know more than most, being a guy that spends time in both areas, has that same type of mentality. Anytime that you get a national columnist or analyst or writer saying something about your team, saying something, derogatory, it's like, okay, that's how you think.
Yeah.
That's why all that.
We'll
all that
show
is
you.
Mm-hmm. I would rather have someone say something horrible that's very well known about Arkansas than good, because all that does is just tick Eric Musselman and company off. It probably does the same for Memphis too.
Very same.
Yeah, and I might have to watch that this weekend. That Southern Hoops show. That might be on the docket for this weekend when I get some time. But Ty, thanks for joining us. Have fun this weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow. We'll see what happens in Budwald.
Thank you, Ty.
Should be a fun one. Thanks, Ty. It's Ty Richardson from ESPN Fort Smith over in Arkansas. He joins us every week to talk some Razorbacks and the SEC. But let's get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors, and the market is starting to crank back up. While we had a slowdown late last year, the rates are coming down and I'm seeing multiple offers again. And if you want to participate in 2023, think of me. Do not list your home without talking to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, and make sure that Kelly Erb and I are one of them. I've had people say that I must feel confident to tell people that, and yes, I do. We have a highly successful strategic marketing program that can make the difference in how much you make and when. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Sheldon at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Or you can also call my marketing partner, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830 or Sheldon at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Remember, call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 5 Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Beat the rush by scheduling your $69 air conditioning tune-up now with Conway Services. An annual AC tune-up can save you money and help prevent costly breakdowns during the hottest months of the year. So keep your family cool all summer long by calling Conway Services today. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 1968.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And it's 4:50. We do it every day. It's time for Big Number of the Day.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
We took volunteers yesterday, but I'm really excited for yours, Brett. So
the Tennessee Volunteers? Sorry, go ahead,
not
Brett.
those volunteers. But, Brett, I'm excited for you. So if you want to go first today, by all means.
Hope I don't let y'all down. My big number is 88. 88. In that 3-year total, 82, 83, 84, 3 straight Final Four appearances and a final game appearance, 2 final game appearances for Houston, but they came up short. They won 88 games. In the last 3 years, 21, 22, 23, that includes a Final Four and Elite Eight and to be determined. This year, going into Sunday's game, 88.
Whoa.
This Houston team is better than Phi Slamma Jamma was. It's just not as immortalized, as canonized, as memorialized, the sweet test of time. In the heat of the moment, this Houston team is better.
And they won't have those players like Hakeem Olajuwon.
And Alvin Franklin, and Clyde Drexler, and Michael Young, and Larry Beeson.
But wins plus minus, it's hard to
Anderson.
Hard to top that.
Hard to dispute. Wow. Brian, you want to go?
Do you want me to go? Or do you want to go?
Go for it, man.
Okay, I'll go. My big number of the day is 3. I feel like I always
not
come
very
with the
big,
small
John,
numbers.
$3 billion's big, though.
That's right.
It is. But my big number is 3. But one of these players packed a big punch, so that counts. Last night in the UT Martin SIUE game, 3 players were ejected because after a basket late in the first half, with about 4 minutes left in the first half, SIUE makes a basket, and as they're running back down the court, 2 players get face-to-face near midcourt, and the SIUE player grabs him with one hand and just sucker punches him with the other hand, leading to somewhat of a brawl. And 2 players from UT Martin were ejected, including the guy that got punched. They said he started the fight, so he was ejected.
Well, he never relented and got one in the chops.
Oh, yeah, got one right in the face. And then, of course, for SIUE, the one that threw the punch, the haymaker, he got ejected. But, I mean, that happened. The punches were thrown in that game. At the end of the Detroit Mercy and the Youngstown State game, temper started to flare a little bit in the handshake line.
Kentucky-Florida women's game the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it's these conference tournaments, they mean business.
Stakes are high.
Life or death.
I've never heard it called SIUE before.
That's what they're calling it now, yeah.
Wow. They dropped the Edwardsville. It's just E now.
Just E, yeah.
Just E. My big number is my exact same big number as yesterday. How about that? First time that's happened to me all year.
Wow, someone's getting lazy.
No, it's a different stat. It's the same number.
Oh, I gotcha.
My big number today is also 40, just like it was yesterday. Last night, Kyrie Irving and Luka scored 40 points in that game. Kyrie Irving is the only player in NBA history, courtesy of OptaStats, the only player in NBA history to be part of a teammate duo scoring 40-plus points in regulation for two different teams.
Wow.
In the 2016 finals, he and LeBron James both scored 41 points, and last night Kyrie scored 40 and Luka scored 42.
Who do you give the ball to at the buzzer?
Whoever's open.
Fair enough.
Good answer.
I think that's what makes him so scary is both guys are these basketball savants that don't look to the ball themselves. They'll be willing to give it to whoever's open.
Our friend Greg Gaston had basically this tweet. Why is Luka catching all the chemistry issues? Don't we have a proven track record on Kyrie Irving? But Luka is catching it, that he's kind of the problem.
Really? Is he really?
I've gotten that.
Interesting.
Well, with Porzingis, that was more. Porzingis hated Carlisle, and Luka loves Carlisle, and so for that reason,
Carlisle's gone.
And Luka hated Porzingis got Carlisle gone, and then they shipped Porzingis off. I think Luka's teammates like him. I think Luka and Kyrie are mutually respected on the basketball court. I personally love Kyrie Irving again,
but some were painting Luka as a whiner.
Really, with his teammates.
I've heard that. I don't know with his teammates, but that's kind of the NBA
Michael Wilbon
thought of him.
Direct shot yesterday on PTI.
Really?
Said Luka and all his whining.
Maybe somebody need to pay closer
Whines
attention to.
well, the thing they say
I'm looking
is
at him with love goggles.
Yeah, he whines about a lot of fouls. He's always constantly complaining and whining about not getting foul called.
Big, strong guy. He might get fouled a lot. You know who else did that? LeBron James.
Ooh. Shots.
Not that he's necessarily LeBron James, but two big guys of that ilk.
And the big guys do get knocked around.
They do.
If they had called every foul committed on Shaq, he would have lived at the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was, speaking of fouls, I know we've already talked some Tigers. We're going to talk some Tigers here in a minute. But last night there was a great play where Kendrick was driving, and they even talked about it later that he got bumped and kind of hand on him, and he just instinctively threw the ball up to get a foul, went into a shooting motion and got fouled.
And the SMU bench went crazy over.
Crazy.
That's a skill, though, man.
Yeah, it really is. And he's shown all season. I mean, he just gets to the line with ease. So, but we're going to stick with that because Jason Munch from the Commercial Appeal, he covers the Tigers. He's going to join us next. So let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll start the third hour with Jason Munch. That's next.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Hi, folks. Good news from the Chevy Sheriff for truck buyers. It's Truck Month at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch. Rebates up to $2,000 and discounts high as $7,000. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit? It's okay. Sunrise specializes in secondary financing. Need a good used truck? Remember, Sunrise Chevy specializes in used cars and trucks under $15,000. Chevy trucks cost less at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, partner. Find new roads to 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Next to Sunrise Wolf Chase.
Attention, guys. By now, you should know that when it comes to male enhancement pills, most of these contain the same ingredients that are repackaged over and over again. Why take the same old when you can perform in the bedroom with confidence at the highest level? That's why Noxitril needs to be on your bedstand. If you thought that the little blue pill works well, wait till you try Noxitril. Thousands of men each week have switched from that prescription blue pill to Noxitril. That's because Noxitril is automatic. No need to worry anymore. When it's time to perform, we've got this. Explosive results you can count on, so call now and take advantage of our special free bottle offer today. Oh, and as a reminder, please use the Noxitril dose as directed. It's that strong. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease or condition.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril while supplies last.
Call 1-800-231-8913. That's 800-231-8913. Free bottle for limited time. Call now. 800-231-8913. 800-231-8913.
Can I get serious with you for just a minute? When you shop at the Great American Home Store this week, you'll find incredible pricing on quality American-made furniture that's built to last. But if you notice that so many things these days seem to be disposable, but your furniture shouldn't be, right? At the same time, we understand you may not want to keep a sofa around for 20 years. So we search for and find quality-built pieces made to last and keep the cost at, well, what other stores sell lesser quality for. Come in and compare at the Great American Home Store, where you will get the look for a lot less. We offer the Mid-South's largest selection of sofas in every style you can imagine. Dining rooms from casual to formal, bar stools, bedrooms in the latest styles, and the top brand mattress sets from Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, and now the Scott Brothers Scott Living Sleep Collection. This is a great time to save with great pricing and no interest financing at the Great American Home Store.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And 5 o'clock on a Friday, like we always do during the Tiger basketball season, Jason Munns joins us now. Jason, thanks for joining us. And it was a wild game before the game even started down in Dallas last night.
Almost in rain delay.
I mean, really, we had sirens going off. We had leaking roof. I mean, what was it like in that building before tip-off?
It was a lot like the 2015 Heart of Dallas Bowl. And it sounds a little weird, but I was covering the Heart of Dallas Bowl in December 2015. It may have been, it was the day after Christmas, 2015, and Southern Miss was playing, Washington. Washington. And the game went off without a hitch, and then as soon as the post-game press conference was over with and we got back up to the press box, they were like, you got to get downstairs right now. A tornado is
hunker down
a mile away.
Wow.
And it was a very real tornado. As it turns out, this was not. I mean, I don't, there was never any indication that there actually was a, real deal tornado, but the siren was definitely going off. Jamar Young, who played his first 4 seasons of college basketball at SMU, was hanging out on the court where nearby when the sirens were going off. And I looked over at him and he looks over at me and I go, "Where are you going? Because I'm following you. You know this building just about as well as anybody here." And he goes, "I'm staying right here." He goes, "I think this is the best place to be." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we stayed put, and all's well that ended well. Although not too awful long later, the roof started leaking. Insane. And it was wild. There was only one spot over the actual court that was leaking, but there was at least
that's all it takes.
Yeah, there was at least 3 or 4 other spots though that were leaking in the stands and leaking, nearby the media seating, and so it was a lot of people just kind of looking at each other like, is this actually happening? Could this game actually not be played? And DeAndre, he was so funny. He walked up to the guy who had the towel, and he just, he was being DeAndre. He was Dre being Dre, and he was kind of having fun with it. And he looks at me and he's like, they don't want the smoke, man. They don't want the smoke.
That is
and
good.
And it was so funny, but they got it all figured out and played the game, and Memphis won, and well, I guess all the problems weren't over with. They got to the airport and sat on the bus for an hour before it was determined that they couldn't leave last night. And this is, keep in mind, this is an 8:00 tip, so they're like, it's midnight, and they're they got a big game in a couple of days, and they're sitting in Dallas, and they have to go find a hotel, and they
is that
literally
right?
just got home.
They stayed overnight.
They just flew in at 2, right?
They were supposed to take off from Dallas at 2 and didn't end up taking off till 2:50.
Good Lord.
Literally about 40 minutes ago, just landed, and so it's like kind of a crazy deal.
Jason, I don't know what it is about that town and travel difficulties for the Tigers, but in 2006, the Tigers played the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament there. Now, the official travel party, they got out of town. Their Sunday afternoon game ended. They got to Love and got out of there. And then when people talk about biblical and Noah's Ark rains, it was one of all time. And my car at the Media Hotel, don't ask me how, but when I pulled in there on Thursday or whatever day it was, I just pulled in the park, never dreaming of epic flooding. It was the only car on the parking lot that wasn't submerged. I mean, buses and cars floating like bathtub toys. And the bus we rode back on, I mean, it was being moved a little bit. We were coming back from American Airlines, but the official party had gotten out of there, and I drove home that night in it and never checked up. Did you drive or fly? Were you on I-30 today?
I did drive, but luckily it all worked out. Like, all the bad weather, the time I left the arena was in between the weather that came before the game and the weather that came at 2 or 3 in the morning, because another big band of weather came through. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I left after the game and drove back to Rockwall, which I guess is like a 45-minute drive away.
I love that lake there.
Yeah, that was really cool. And I stayed kind of right by that lake.
Yeah, I like that.
It was pretty neat. So, it's been there was a lot going on other than the game.
Yeah.
But the game was the most important thing.
Jason, I was a little bit mad at myself after I did it today. We started with, I said Tigers win 81-62 and didn't play very well. This time of year, the golf saying, you're not drawing pictures. You're just putting a score down and a W down, and now move on to the biggest game of the year and a pretty good free pass at the number 1 ranked team.
I mean, would you agree it's not the biggest game? It is the biggest game of at the very least, the Penny Hardaway era.
No doubt. If not, I think biggest game is since Josh against Patino in Louisville at FedEx Forum.
Yeah. So this is a true blue, bona fide, huge game. Now it doesn't, it's not like, it's for all the marbles or anything like that. Houston has clinched the number 1 seed. Memphis is locked into the 2 seed after they won last night. They are the 2 seed in next week's conference tournament. A win or a loss does not make or break Memphis's NCAA tournament chances. And the same goes for Houston. I think a win or a loss does not drastically alter their trajectory going into the postseason. But, it's the last regular season meeting that we know of between Memphis and Houston, who've been playing for a while. They've been conference mates since the mid-90s, and so it's CBS. It's a chance for Memphis to really, really show a lot of people what they're capable of at a very pivotal point in time in the season.
Yeah, and the Memphis basketball Twitter page a couple hours ago released that it's officially sold out on their end, that us, obviously some third-party sites will still have tickets, but from their end, completely sold out, so it should be a rocking environment on Sunday. But I do want to ask about last night's environment, because I think the biggest thing after the game from off the court was Penny Hardaway after the game talking about the student section and towards Kendrick Davis, what they had to say towards Kendrick Davis throughout the game. You could hear on TV, and if you were listening on radio, the Trader chants every time he touched the ball. From your viewpoint, being there at the game, what was the student section like to Kendrick Davis?
So the media seating was pretty much clear across the court from where the students were. So like obviously I heard it when they were chanting and things like that. Before the game, I was kind of like hanging out over by them just to get a sense of what it, of his reception, what his reception was going to be when he actually took the floor. And it was not kind. I mean, like it wasn't even mixed. It was decidedly, anti Kendrick Davis, which,
vicious?
Whatever. Nah, not that I mean, there was guys flipping the bird, and there was, some F-bombs that were being dropped, and that was just pregame. It was just like one little, a span of time that I was standing over there. And so, I don't think that I didn't hear anything that crossed the line necessarily. But obviously, by the end of the game,
8 beers later.
Right. And they were, that should be worth noting that they were all, it wasn't a large group of people. It was 2 or 3 dozen, I would say, young men. I didn't see any ladies in the group, but they were all, like, most of them were had their adult beverage in tow, and were feeling good about themselves. And so again, I wasn't over there for the whole game, and so I mean, I got to take Penny and Katie at their word.
I do too.
That they heard something that
was too far,
overstepped the line, and there you have it. I mean, that was that.
And I said earlier, Jason, for Penny Hardaway, who played high school basketball in Memphis, and shrinking violet, a lot of these gyms around town, you can hear a lot of things. And then college basketball and the NBA, for him to hear something that he has to voice his displeasure in, then it was up to a line, if not passing one.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't want to. It's not safe for radio. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I did see something pregame that was written on a T-shirt that was under. It was like an undershirt. There was one guy who had on like a basketball jersey and a white T-shirt underneath it that he had taken a magic marker to, and like written something on his undershirt, and he had like pulled his jersey up to show his buddies around him what he had written, and it was. Again, it is very not safe for radio, but I never saw him like flash that message that was written on his T-shirt, but that's not saying he didn't, and that's not saying that that's what set Kendrick off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, objectively, anybody who would have seen. Anybody who's in Kendrick's position who would have seen what was written on that shirt would have absolutely had something to say about it. So I don't know if that's what it was. Again, I don't know exactly what it was, but what they said.
I thought Kendrick pressed a little bit last night. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, he didn't shy away from it leading up to the game. He talked about how emotional he was going to be, and even after the game, he said that he got legitimately emotional before tip-off, and he's an emotional guy, and he did put a lot. Oh yeah, exactly. I think it benefits him and Memphis more than it hurts them, but there are definitely times where it can be a drawback in certain instances, and I can't remember exactly how many turnovers he finished with, 4 or 5, but 23 points to lead all scorers, 10 assists, 4 steals, which was, that's nice.
Yeah.
I think he came in averaging like 2.6 steals a game or something like that. So a really nice game defensively for him. But, at the same time, you could tell that he had a lot of juices flowing and struggled to, sort of contain that. And a couple of times here and there probably gambled a little bit too much, and it cost him.
Talking to Jason Munn from the Commercial Appeal covering the Tigers basketball team. What did you make of the decision to hold Alo out last night?
I thought it was really smart.
Yeah.
You tweeted, break glass if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like that's kind of what, I didn't know they were going to hold him out. I think it was a relatively last minute decision or, late decision going into the game. But, my thought is, you can obviously win by 19 points without him.
Yeah.
So like if you can, then why wouldn't you? Especially when you consider the fact that you've got not only the number 1 team in the country coming up on Sunday, but then you've got in less than a week's time, potentially 3 more games in 3 days, like 4 games in 7 days. Yeah, exactly. Like I did not think the risk would have been worth the reward. Like, if he goes out there and aggravates something, then you have really put yourself behind the 8 ball at a time when you don't need any more issues. And so I thought it was the right decision to hold him out for sure.
Kind of on that same line with players returning from injury. What did you think of Malcolm's game last night, and how big will he need to be Sunday against those bigs for Houston?
He I think he's going to be one of the 3 or 4 most important players in that game.
How many minutes does he need to play?
That's a good question.
Does he need to play?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, if you can get 20 out of him,
that'd be great.
Then I think then you're going to be in a good position. Like if he can get to 20, that means he's staying out of foul trouble, and that means he's being effective, and that means he's healthy as well, and conditioned. I think that's probably why he played so many minutes in yesterday's game, and why KO didn't play any minutes. Penny sort of explained it in no uncertain terms. I need Malcolm to get back into game shape, and there's really only one way to do it. And we didn't need KO last night, so against SMU. So I think that I think there's going to be KD, DeAndre, a third person, whether that's Elijah McCadden, whether that's DeMarie Franklin, who, by the way, is blossoming right before our eyes. 15 points last night. I think 2 or 3 3-point shots. Is just really, really starting to, find his way. He's settling into his role and giving Memphis a really big boost at a very, very good time. Considering they just lost Keontae Kennedy, obviously. So. But I think Malcolm's right there, with whoever that third person is going to be, whether it's McCadden or Franklin or whoever. I think Malcolm, because again, he seems to always play well against Houston.
Yeah.
They seem to have trouble with him, and he's just like, he brings a unique skill set. Like for a big man, he's pretty skilled, and but he also can bring the thunder too. Like he can clog up lanes, and he can move people to help out. He's not necessarily always going to get the rebound, but maybe he's moving people so that others can get the rebound on his team. So I do think he is going to be very, very pivotal on Sunday.
So it was a big game on Sunday, but like you said earlier, the Tigers, with that win last night against SMU, locked up the number 2 seed. And I think I asked Dave Voloshin this question earlier today, but I'm not sure how much the bottom of the AAC could change before the conference tournament. But if the tournament started today, the Tigers would play the winner of SMU and UCF. Given those 2 games against UCF in the regular season, how much, if any, does another matchup against UCF worry you?
A little bit. I mean, like, besides Tulane, I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, I think Tulane would be the outside of Houston. I think Tulane's the one team I don't want to see in a one and done style environment. But I think UCF might be number 2, right? Like, they lost in double overtime in Orlando. They needed a miracle sequence, like a borderline miracle sequence, to beat UCF at home just a few weeks ago. I mean, it just, I would not want to see them on Friday night next week in Fort Worth. Yeah, I mean, like, they're the team outside of Tulane and Houston. They're the team that based on results from this season, they're the team that seems to give Memphis some issues. Now, that being said, that game at home a few weeks ago where they needed Demarie Franklin to get the steal and Jonathan Lawson to get the push ahead, and Demarie's layup, and then DeAndre Williams' wall up on the defensive end to seal it. That was when Kendrick got hurt. He did not play in the entire second half. He missed the last 3 or 4 minutes of the first half, and I don't think if he goes, if he's healthy that whole game, I don't think they need those heroics at the end. So, but still, I'm right there with you. Like, I would much rather see SMU upset UCF in the first round, and then have to face SMU before I would want to face UCF.
Talking to Jason Munch from the Commercial Appeal. Last thing for you, Jason. We've kind of been talking all week with the regular season coming to an end Sunday afternoon. We've kind of been talking about this season and the job Penny Hardaway's done, and you kind of look back to last season. I think at the end of the regular season, the Tigers had 18 or 19 wins. Well, they've already surpassed that this season with 1 game left. What are your thoughts on the job Penny's done this season?
I mean, it's the most wins already. Still with 1 more regular season game left. Still with, the opportunity to pick up 1, 2, 3 more wins in the conference tournament. It's already the most wins by the Tigers in a single season since the 2013-2014 season, when they won 24 games.
And that was Josh versus Patino year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got a chance. Like, if they win Sunday and they beat whoever the first team is, like, they'll surpass that number. They've got a chance to surpass that number here in just a few days, is what I'm saying. So, like, I think that's a direct reflection of Penny Hardaway. Penny made it a point to go in a different direction this year with the way he built his roster. And I think that was the smartest thing he ever did.
His introspection was the smartest thing ever, Jason.
Yeah. Like, his decision to completely abandon the philosophy and the strategy that like the only philosophy he'd ever known as far as, roster construction, he completely abandoned it for basically the opposite. And, like, he made a bunch of difficult decisions to let some guys go, the Tyler Harrises and the Landers Nollies and all that stuff. Like that was all, I think, signs of growth and maturity and progression in his career as a coach. And then not only that, I think that his in-game management he's taken significant strides. Even just from the beginning of this season, I think he's made strides in the way he manages games and the way he coaches. his team and puts together game plans and stuff like that. He made the decision to go out and hire Frank Haith. I mean, like, we could sit here and say, well, Frank Haith has a lot to do with, with how they've performed, or Faraji Phillips, and, or whoever. But it was Penny's decision to go out and hire those guys. And so I think that's yet another reflection of, he's pushed a lot of the correct buttons this season, and that should not go unnoticed, honestly.
Absolutely. Jason, it should be a fun one Sunday morning. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right. See y'all later.
Jason, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Jason Munn's with us from the Commercial Appeal, the beat writer, covering all things Tigers. And next Friday could be quite a challenge for us catching up with Jason's sleep for him and time of games could be a challenge next week. But we sure want to, and we're not certain of our schedule next week as we wait on games from the SEC. But we'll handle that when we get closer to it next week. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area, where all the cars are thoroughly examined, test-driven, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe. Every make, every model, unlimited inventory. If by chance they don't have it, they'll find it through their vast network of contacts in the car business. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. You're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere that care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a very busy world where schedules are hard to keep. The hustle and bustle, that's why they have it streamlined and so efficient. You find the car you want, test drive that car, credit approved, paperwork completed, 45 minutes or less. That's the guarantee of the ultimate car experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Check out the referrals online at DeSotoAutoSales.com, but visit them at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Let's get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for What's Trending.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tiger fans, don't miss your chance to see Memphis take on the top-ranked Houston Cougars in a huge showdown at home Sunday, March 5th at 11 o'clock. Come watch the Tigers continue to work toward back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances in their last home game of the regular season. Memphis has never hosted a number one team in the nation at FedEx Forum, so make sure you're there March 5th at 11 o'clock against the Houston Cougars. Go, Tigers, go!
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Do not.
Do so. You do not love Central Barbecue more than me. I've been talking about Central Barbecue for years. I was the first person to do these spots. Well, I may be new doing them, but I want to shout from the rooftops just how much I love it. Okay, smart guy. What are the sides at Central Barbecue? Easy. Home-cooked pork rinds, home-cooked potato chips, greens, green beans, barbecue beans, onion rings, fries, and potato salad. Lucky guess. What can you buy by the pound, huh? Beef brisket, pulled pork, smoked turkey, my favorite, pulled chicken, smoked chicken, and barbecue bologna. Ha! We're out of time. I could do this all day.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and we only got about 30 minutes left in the show. 30 minutes left for the week, and kind of looking around college basketball, a lot of the mid-major tournaments in action today. A couple have already gone final. I think the biggest one for maybe Memphis fans is that Eastern Michigan, a regular season game today, during the day against Northern Illinois, they lost 85-66, which means Eastern Michigan does not qualify for the conference tournament, meaning Amani Bates' season is officially over at Eastern Michigan. Not a good day for him today. 3 for 14 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3. Finished with 6 points and 4 rebounds. It'll be interesting to see what he does now that the offense or off season has started.
I say this with no rancor, no malice whatsoever. He had the year he wanted.
Yeah,
gets to shoot. Not that worried about winning and losing. Season's over early.
Sure.
Kind of go work out. Does he get drafted?
I think so.
Where? First round?
I don't know about first round. But then I think that brings up the question of what does he do if he's not drafted in the first round? What do you think, Jay? Do you think he's still drafted? I know we've talked about this a lot throughout the season. But now that the season's over,
I'd have to look closer at everybody as a whole, right? That's a hard question.
Yeah, it is a tough question.
It's I know that's not good for radio to I need to have an opinion like that. I would say probably, but it just depends on what's coming out too. There's more international prospects than ever before. That plays a big factor in it. G League Ignite it plays a big factor in it. It's hard to say.
Sure. Interesting.
What's the strong suit of his game? I didn't see one here last year.
I would say, I don't know, maybe shot creating. He can hit some tough shots off the dribble. I don't know.
I didn't think he had a great handle last year, and last year was so bad for him, almost nightmarish.
Yeah, no, it was bad, and I mean, I think the change of scenery, like you said, I mean, he could throw up 40 shots a game if he wanted to, and nobody would even bat an eye.
Results didn't matter.
It only took me 2 minutes to think about it, and not have a more firm answer. Sometimes you just need a second to confront what's going on here.
I'm thinking about peeking
behind
the curtain.
I know we dragged you away from NASCAR.
Yeah,
qualifying.
Can I peek behind the curtain since you wanted to call me out so much yesterday?
Please do.
Jim Morgan just texted me and said, "Who are we talking about?"
I may or may not have been focusing on my NASCAR spreadsheet, but Amani Bates, it's first-round draft pick.
Wow, so we went from I'm going to have to dig a little deeper to first-round draft pick.
I was too busy digging.
A matter of minutes.
I was trying to figure out how to sort things in an Excel spreadsheet. But nonetheless, I think Amani Bates is a first-round draft pick. There's really no doubt in my mind about it because these, for good or for bad, and I'm not saying Amani does not live up to these expectations, but these guys just buy into their own hubris so much that we can fix whatever these guys' limitations are, whatever they were in college, because he is that good of a prospect.
Depends on the.
I don't know.
Depends on the team.
Because I heard an excellent analysis from somebody that used to work in a front office, used to work for the Atlanta Hawks and the Phoenix Suns talking about this. But they were talking about the NFL draft combine, but obviously their expertise is in basketball, is that these combines and stuff, they're not really measuring what they say they're measuring, right? They're not measuring whether or not you can get from lane to lane. They're not measuring how fast you can run 40 yards down the field. What they're really looking for is how smart is this guy, and how much does he love what he's doing here, whether it be football or basketball. And those are the things you have to address with Amani Bates. In terms of his intangible things, or his tangibles, like his size and strength and touch and all those things, if all that other stuff is taken care of, he loves the game and he has a great work ethic about it, I think absolutely one of these front office guys or one of these coaches can make him a great player.
Who's the guy for, and a little different, but who's the, I keep forgetting his name. I'm trying to pull him up, but my computer is going slow. But the kid from played at UW Milwaukee last year, is now with the Warriors, was drafted with like one of the last picks. Patrick Baldwin Jr. Kind of similar, goes to the small school, doesn't have a great season. Now, he was kind of derailed with injuries, but the Warriors saw a lot of those intangibles and things that they thought they could develop.
But that's different.
The
than
Warriors can. They can find them and develop.
That's different than Imani, though.
Sure.
Imani has been universally acclaimed as a top prospect.
But, I mean,
and he could go to Memphis. He could go to Central Washington.
Patrick Baldwin, same thing, 5-star. I mean, he was a top 10 guy.
Well, then same thing.
Yeah. Before the rules, Bates would have been drafted in the first round last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
and I don't think
draft boards everywhere last year. Before he started at Memphis, he was number 1.
I'm telling you, none of these guys in the NBA are deterred by him going from Memphis to another school. No. They're not deterred. They don't care. They don't care at all. It doesn't matter at all. And it's not, he didn't fall off the face of the earth. It's not because he scored however many points he scored in a game this year that they're going to take him in the first round.
40 points and had the 27 straight points or whatever.
They decided he was a first-round draft pick when he was 17 years old.
A friend of mine that goes to a lot of basketball games, and you sleep in one of his bedrooms, texted me that Bates is a good catch-and-shoot forward. I think he is that.
He is.
That was your dad.
I hope that was my dad. I hope I'm not sleeping in anyone else's bedroom.
He can create off the dribble, too. Like, he's shown that this year.
Early in the games last year.
Dribble's a little high.
Yes, that's true, but everyone's bigger in the NBA, so that helps too, but there's some smaller guys that get their hands in there. I remember at the beginning of the season last year when he had the ball in his hand, bringing it across half court, he could pull up for some nice threes, nice elbow jumpers. I have no doubt in my mind he can score with the basketball in his hand.
From all the players, just from last year, never mind back to Boogie, back to Musa, just from last year, is there anybody you just really love to have on this team now? For a lot of this year, some would say Tyler Harris.
Yeah.
At 24 and 7, 23 and 7.
Yeah.
Anybody you really miss?
Only transfers you're saying here? No one that's gone on to a higher level.
Because you're going to say Jalen Durden.
I would say Jalen Durden.
Yeah.
Just
transfers. Well, of course we'd love Durden.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Mike could win it all with him.
Yeah, you said not go back to Boogie Ellis, and I'm not sure they need guard play even. Musa Cisse. You just need a 5. But that goes back further, like you said.
Further than last year.
From just last year, I don't think so. I mean, my go-to for a lot of the season was Landers, but I mean, with kind of what happened last year between the whole team, locker room dynamics, if you put him on this team, it seems like this team is super tight. You know, everyone has the kind of same mindset. What would he do to that?
Yeah, I think Kendrick Davis is better locker room presence than that.
I think so.
And there's no fight. I mean, they're set at guard play. They got guards for days.
Sure are.
You guys just had one go down breaking his hand, and 2 others have stepped up. I know that's kind of you're working at a 3, not necessarily a guard.
It may have freed up Damari Franklin.
Really very well could have. Dave Woloshin said this morning it was one of the best things for him to have that confidence coming into that.
Here's your minutes.
There it is.
Great time to break a hand.
And Elijah McCadden, too, has also stepped up in a big way, too.
Really all conference play, he's really stepped up.
He has. Yeah, other than that, if I can go back further, though, I would love Musa Cisse. And I was telling Bryant before the show, I was looking at Synergy Sports Tech, and Boogie Ellis is in the top 8% in the nation in pick-and-roll ball handler. He is that good at control. Now, you don't need guard play, but another player that used to be a Tiger that maybe they would like back in some respects.
Yeah, but I like this team. What they've got right now, like you said,
not?
I mean, maybe a 5 in there would be.
And sometimes
nice.
your more favorite teams are those surprise teams.
100%.
Last year it was kind of expected, and then a little disappointing in the middle of the year how it finished. Mostly finished all's well. The ends well. Got an NC tournament win. Don't want to dismiss that.
Yeah.
But this team, I don't know many that thought it would be this much fun.
Here's the question I'll throw back to you since you asked that question.
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I just said I thought it might be. And you give me I thought this season would be better than previous.
Yeah.
And I've said that to you for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it'd be fun.
Fair enough. Fun.
And it has been.
It has been a
It
lot of
has
fun.
been.
I'll throw this back at you since you asked about transfers from last year. Emmanuel Akot. Because that was the big before the season. He's transferring
the kid from
in.
Boise State. Oh, man.
Then he
if they had
transfers
him,
back.
That's different. Because he's so big and physical, too.
I'm trying to pull up what he's averaging right now.
And how much big and physical do they have?
I think they have thought that if they'd had him.
Oh, yeah.
Especially early before Franklin's eligibility got worked out.
Well, it's because they thought they were going to have him from the begin with, so this whole team was built around having this big physical guy.
At Western Kentucky right now. Now let's remember 6'8", 215.
Stansberry.
So that'd be a big guy down low for you. 10.4 points, 3.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game, shooting 41% from the
I'd
field.
plug all that in.
Yeah.
Dang, 4 rebounds is not as many as I thought it would be at a school like
but
that.
I think he kind of sits around the 3-point line.
So maybe he wouldn't make up for the deficiencies that we're talking about,
Maybe not.
albeit getting beat on the offensive glass last night against a terrible team like SMU.
Sunday, doors don't open until an hour before the game. Last Sunday, I was in line. It was a pretty good line for it to open.
And even better on Sunday.
1 hour out. So this week, you know it will be, and a little earlier. So everybody be moving early. I know we're often late arriving, but be there and be loud on Sunday because it's a game that you get this one and just get to the finals of the AAC. I think you get out of that 8-9 range.
Yeah. I think tonight's game, Tulane versus East Carolina, is big because I do not want to have to see UCF, Tulane, and then Houston. If that's
it's been 4 wars with UCF and Tulane.
I would hate for that to be your
That's exactly what they said
AAC
this morning, too.
trip.
My brain's working slow. So you're saying out of 8-9 range, like 7 seed?
Potentially. You got to win. I think you got to win next Sunday for that.
Right.
Sure.
And that would be something. That would be a big jump. It would get you not only out of 8-9, get you out of 10 range, and you don't have to play a 1 seed or a 2 seed in the second round, and you could potentially go to a Sweet 16. But I honestly think fans, and maybe I'm wrong, my gauge is totally wrong, but I feel like the biggest fans, or maybe the most vocal fans of the University of Memphis, even though this season has been so fun, and like Jason Munns just said a minute ago, the most single-season wins even now that the Tigers have had under Coach Penny Hardaway, I think the fans enjoy the marquee freshman teams more,
probably,
even with the struggles. And I wonder why that is.
I
All the
don't
hype
understand.
around
I
it.
think you're right, but I don't understand that
Me
dynamic.
either.
I like winning. I like results.
It's proven.
Instead of window dressing, instead of hope. Instead of McDonald's 5 stars.
Now, the ideal is that you have guys that develop in your program, in your system, and become veterans. But if you can't have that, this is the next best thing. Because the older players, quite frankly, no matter how lauded the freshman 5-star, 4-star is, the veteran players are just better. They win national championships every year. It's just the way the modern college basketball is. And if you want to be a team that's winning more games like this, you're going to have to do it with veteran players. I don't know how we could hammer that in to, and it's not to say it's all Tiger fans, because I think a lot of Tiger fans, like you, Bryant, like teams like this. You like the team with Jeremiah Martin as a veteran player too. But I think there are some that always are going to be more dialed in when it's those freshman 5-star guys. I don't frankly understand it. It doesn't do you any good for those guys to have success in the NBA just to say he went to Memphis. I'd rather them win while they're here.
Well, I'll tell you what a big part of it is probably. I don't know this for a fact, but a lot of it is when you get those 5-star recruits. I mean, you go onto social media and it's ESPN, CBS Sports, it's this, overtime. It's all of these, stupid social media pages that are like 5-star freshman, Monty Bates hit 21 points, Jalen Duren, all that stuff. And so that gets you hyped up about it.
Because people want to know how they're doing for when they're in the NBA, you're saying.
Yeah, well, now I'm just saying it makes the hype around it so the fans get more excited about those freshmen because you go on social media and these national people are talking about these 5-star freshmen.
That's a good point.
Last year, early in the year, Bates just couldn't do anything.
No.
And I go back to 1 point for Duren at Ole Miss. 1 point.
I was thinking about that Ole Miss game when we were talking about the student section last night, because if I remember correctly, that Ole Miss student section was brutal, especially on Amani. And it almost got Amani wanted to go after a few of them.
Yeah, it was an issue going back to the locker room area. It was.
Yeah.
And you don't have to deal with those kinds of headache things that you dealt with last year when you have a veteran team like this. I think a lot of people have pointed to what a better job on court schematically Coach Hardaway and his staff have done this year. But I think a lot of that credit also goes to the maturity of the basketball players that are playing under him. You don't have to go through the minutia necessarily of the freshmen coming in don't even know how to space the floor properly in a 4-round 1 or a 3-round 2, or the type of spacing you have to have on the floor. Those types of details, you don't have to go through all those steps. Passing with your outside hand on the perimeter, whether it be passing with both hands, you don't have to go through that stuff when you have veteran-laden teams. And so it's not to discredit what the coaching staff is doing whatsoever. It's just saying those are the types of things you get that understanding higher level basketball IQ from veteran teams that you just don't get with freshmen nowadays.
And it starts at point guard.
Yeah.
Certainly does.
I think another thing, when you kind of hear this team talk, it's all, I came here to go to the NCAA tournament. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to the end. It seems like they all have that one goal. This morning when we were talking to Dave, he said that Alex Lomax went up to Penny Hardaway before the game and said, Coach, I do not feel 100% at all. I don't think I should go tonight. Maybe we should hold me out to be ready for Houston. So, that maturity and kind of being like, I'm going to not even play to kind of save us and give us a better chance against Houston. You wouldn't have had that last year.
Yeah, because you got a bigger fight coming up.
Yeah.
Might indicate that's something that happened. What was the game that Kendrick set out? Wichita State?
Maybe.
Happened in that game.
Could have. You never know. But it's going to be a fun one, no doubt, Sunday morning against Houston. But let's get to our final break. When we come back, it'll be time for Talk About Crunch Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 5 Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Golfers teed up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway, featuring the Paradigm Woods and Irons. The Paradigm Woods are engineered with forged carbon to have unparalleled distance and forgiveness. The irons feature a high-strength forged face for increased launch, speed, and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Unmatched expertise, unmatched service.
Looking for a great home-cooked late lunch with meat and veggies? Make sure to stop into 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for baked and fried chicken, hamburger steaks, chicken dumplings, catfish, and more with yummy vegetables. Plus a great brunch on the weekends from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 10th Inning Grill has plenty of TVs for all your favorite sports. Visit them on Facebook to see the daily specials. 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill, voted best sports bar in DeSoto County, Getwell Road, South Haven.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today, I kind of talked about them a little earlier, but these new rules that have been recommended to the Football Rules Committee, 3 rule changes. The first one being no back-to-back timeouts, the second being no untimed downs at the end of the first and third quarters, and the third being a running clock after first downs gain. Brandon Marcello was the one that I first saw report this. He said it would cut out about 10 plays per game, which is what they're estimating, and the Oversight Committee will vote on this on April 20th. So, I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, all these sports are trying to... I don't know.
Or will it be more ways to wedge in more commercials?
I'm sure it'll be more ways to wedge in commercials.
I'm not anti-commercials.
I'm not either, but I mean...
I love them, but...
It's just weird that all these sports are just trying to make the game faster.
Yeah, everybody's in a hurry. It has gotten laborious out at college football, but a lot of it's the reviews. I wish we could cut down on that. What I learned 2 weeks always becomes 3 weeks, especially with 38-year-old players. As soon as the Lakers started talking about reassessing, you knew it was bad. I would bet you right now LeBron James has played his last game this year. I don't think we see him another second of the season. How much stress was put on LeBron's feet, ankles, chasing Kareem's record?
It's a good question. I don't know, but
was it worth it?
Reportedly a lot.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Whether or not it was worth it, I don't know.
Does he play again this year?
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say no.
Wow, 2 against 1.
I'm going to no.
Oh, 2 against 1. How about that? I
told you, I think with 3 people is always going to be 2
against 1. I'm on the Laker bandwagon.
That's right. You got to say yes. What I could have done without, and I'm sad to have to bring the story up with Jay Morgan wearing all of his XFL attire on.
Oh, you were talking about the quarterback. This
you kind of went full Gary player XFL today.
Get my hat.
New hat that come in yesterday?
It did.
Wow.
Good.
This story's crazy, though.
This story is crazy. So the Orlando Guardians have cut quarterback Quentin Dormandy.
Former Vol,
former Houston Cougar in Central Michigan, I think.
That's
wow.
right.
That's right. after he allegedly gave an opposing team plays from the Guardians playbook.
Gave or sold?
The team. That's great question, Brett. Great question. The team heard about it, investigated, and released Dormandy. He has also had everything about him removed from the XFL website. All I got to say, this is why Paxton has struggled through the first 2 weeks. They knew the plays.
He gave it all up. Y'all know we're going to have this in college football in the SEC with portal. Somebody's going to say, I gave him a playbook.
Sure.
Somebody's going to do it.
Yeah. I see it. What?
I watched The Waterboy last night, and that's like part of the storyline of that movie is there's a green playbook, and one of the guys knows the other play.
I could have done it without the NFL teams. Just now are being impressed by Bryce Young. Y'all been seeing these stories? How he's just knocking everybody over at the combine with his interviews. I got a lot of friends that are NFL scouts, and they work hard. I like what they do, but I swear some of them are lazy. Some of the laziest scouting in sports turned in by the NFL. And why not? How much should you have to work when you have the best minor leagues, best developmental leagues ever in the history of any sport, when you have college football bankrolling the best minor leagues? Why would you have to work so hard? Just let them develop them, let them tell you who's good, get ready for the draft. And they're just now discovering this about him, and he's going to be the first pick and guaranteed about $70 million. And you're just now discovering he's a really good person?
Insane. But hey,
and he's 5'10".
That's what the Combine's for, right? They wait till now and get all their information. What I'm keeping an eye on, not a ton tonight in college basketball. Longwood currently up 36-35 over the Campbell Fighting Camels. So that's
Longwood
fun.
Lancers.
Lancers. There you go, Brett. Oh, it's the only time we tune into Longwood Longwood basketball is this time of year.
And when we tune into Bryant.
That's right. That's right.
Not Bryant Dacus.
No, we always tune into Bryant Dacus. No. But some good ones tonight. Dayton at St. Louis. And then obviously all of the conference tournaments going on tonight. Portland, BYU should be a good one. Grand Canyon, Utah Tech. Bruce gave us plays on both of those earlier
Dixie
today.
State special.
So those will be a lot of fun. And then in the NBA, we got Grizzlies Nuggets at 9 tonight on ESPN. The other ESPN game tipping off at 6:30. Nets at Celtics.
Grizzlies tonight in Denver, Sunday against the Clippers in Los Angeles, and the showdown Sunday at 11 a.m.
Yep.
Number 1 Houston against the Tigers. How about Golden State, now 5th, Phoenix 4th? We'll watch them in the standings. And tomorrow, Big Blue Nation in Fayetteville against the Razorbacks.
How about this game tomorrow night on ESPN? Number 8 Arizona traveling to number 4 UCLA.
Oh, I love UCLA.
That's going to be a really fun game. It's going to be a fun weekend of basketball. Like you said, the big one Sunday morning, and then you got Grizzlies Sunday night. So it's going to be a great weekend. And then next week will be full swing conference tournaments. So enjoy it. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Have a great weekend, man.
Really. You have an even better weekend, Brett. And listeners, have a great weekend. Have a good one. We will be back Monday at 3 o'clock to talk some more sports and everything that happened in Memphis over the weekend.